It is 6 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, February 13th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations. You just woke up in the greatest country in history. Donald Trump is your president, and we are off and running. We got a whole show planned for you of engaging discussions, critical analysis, but most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab a cup of coffee, Denver, pick up that phone, give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. We've got a lot to talk about today. Tulsi Gabbard is confirmed, and Bernie Sanders not voting for her after she went to bat for him. I want to talk about that. Steffan Tubbs is going to join us. He's the public information officer for the DEA Rocky Mountain Division. He's got the top 10 most dangerous criminals they have caught to date. We're going to be talking with him about those details. Immigration lawsuits. The Trump administration suing states like New York and others that want to engage in the sanctuary state policies, as well as what happened at the Roosevelt Hotel in New York, and how did Kristi Noem get tens of millions of dollars that was sent to those states for illegal immigrants back to the federal government. Rory O'Neill is going to join us to talk the 2,400 new records that were discovered about the Kennedy assassination. We're going to talk about Colorado's government programs that have been frozen as a result of the Trump administration freezing a lot of those funds. And then we're going to talk with some folks from the city of Littleton in the 9 o'clock hour. So it's an absolutely jam-packed show. There is so much going on all the time. I mean, it's just, it is wild. Bill, I was watching the press conference yesterday with Caroline Levitt.
Yeah.
And bro, the conversation between New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, and the Trump administration is, I'm not kidding you, word for word, the conversation we had on yesterday's show.
That is awesome.
We were tapped right into it.
That is fantastic. See, for all the haters that are out there, we're not as think as you stupid we are. You know, that maybe we are on the thing here. Maybe we do know what we're doing every once in a while. That is awesome to hear that they, the thing is, they probably, some of them were listening to our show, and then no, that didn't happen. No, that's not happened. No, but still, that is so cool. That is good.
We are right in the middle of it. John Decker
awesome.
Was asking questions too. He joined us yesterday. He's our White House correspondent. So we are tapped in, man.
That is so cool. I mean, I love the fact that John joins us on a regular basis and then goes and he's in the room at the White House and he's asking the questions. So, and you said yesterday, they're talking a little off air. He asked a question about Putin and the relationship, and that's cool. And it was a nice open-ended question. How do you define the relationship Donald Trump has with Putin? How does he view
allies,
Putin?
enemies, threats, all that. And Caroline Levitt had a really good response to that too.
Oh, what did she say?
Was they are adversaries.
Yeah.
We see Russia as an adversary, but Donald Trump wants to find ways to work together on common ground for the peace of all people.
Oh, there we go.
Good response.
And that's why I could not be in the White House press room. I would have gone 24 hours. Didn't he say the phone call? Is this the phone call in which he settles the war? He said it would take one phone call. Is Putin doing the favor that? And that's why they would kick me out and say, you're not allowed here tomorrow. So that's why I can't be there. That's okay. At least I understand my own limitations.
Let's get you one. You need to fill out that little application so you can become a member of the White House.
The alternative media. Yes, that's what I need to be.
The alternative. One day, one shot. Yes. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
For all the marbles.
Yeah, if there's anything that self-defines me better than anything else, it's the alternative media, just in general. Alternative to everything. Absolutely everything. Both the left and the right, just I'm saying.
So lots of news to cover, and you're going to hear the conversations right here, the debate that the nation is having on the Jeff and Bill Show. But they don't have Blake Olson.
Yeah, they don't.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
I hear you, Billy. 2 degrees and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 37. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
What we're going to do is tomorrow I'm having a news conference. I'm going to read to you some of the names that hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars have been given to. And if you tell me that we should be giving money to those things, those entities, I think you'll probably have to leave as a reporter because you're not very talented.
Wall Street Journal says DJT and Elon have done more in 3.5 years than the great Ronald Reagan did in 8 years.
When you look at the kind of money, billions and billions of dollars being thrown away illegally, and there's no chance. I mean, I say it in front of our Attorney General, there's no chance that there's not kickbacks or something going on. When you give millions and millions of dollars to somebody that stands to look at something for 15 minutes and walks away with millions of dollars, that money's coming back in some form.
Oh, Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters.
People of this country are being violated because all of our privacy is being taken up by Elon Musk and Trump, and we don't know what all they have on us. We don't know what all they have on us.
Oh, wait a minute. One more time.
And we don't know what all they have on us. We don't know what all they have on us. What all they have on us. We don't know.
Man, this may be one of the
they
greatest
have
days in
on us.
American history today. We shall see. Pam Bondi getting after it last night as well.
We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the mom standing right behind me, who you're going to hear from in a moment. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today.
And here we go. It's February 13th, and I hope we remember this day forever. We shall see. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston wants voters to approve new general obligation bonds to fund investment in infrastructure, recreation, and the arts. He announced the Vibrant Denver Bond Program on Wednesday. The bond projects approved in 2017 are complete or on pace to be finished by 2027, which creates space for new bonds to be offered after they hear from citizens. The top priorities will be on the ballot in November, of course. One person is dead after an apartment fire in Gilpin County. It happened at the Gold Mountain Village Apartments in Central City. Firefighters found an elderly woman dead in the apartment after the fire was put out. The cause of the fire is under investigation. A U.S. District Court judge says DJT's federal employee buyout plan can proceed. 47 offered to give money to federal employees who resigned, but multiple labor unions filed lawsuits saying the administration did not have legal authority to offer the buyouts. The buyout offer is back on the table. At least 20 people are reportedly injured after a car drove into a crowd at a trade union demonstration in Munich. Authorities say the vehicle's driver was detained at the scene, but have not yet said whether they're treating the incident as an accident or a terrorist attack. J.D. Vance and Ukrainian President Zelensky are set to take part in the Munich Security Conference tomorrow. X has agreed to pay about $10 million to settle a lawsuit by the president. Trump sued the platform back when it was known as Twitter after it deleted his account following the January 6th Fedsurrection. The lawsuit was settled Wednesday by X, which is now owned by Elon, of course. A New Jersey man is suing a Connecticut safari tour operator after his wife was killed by a hippo in Africa. The lawsuit, Craig Manders claims in the lawsuit that the tour operator was negligent in failing to protect his wife, who was killed in Zambia last year after being trampled by a wild hippo during a safari tour run by the company. Oh my goodness. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954. Online at lairfireplacepatio.com. It's getting more expensive to eat breakfast. The price of eggs, orange juice, and coffee are all going up, as we know. The latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics says that egg prices were up 50% year over year in January.
Taste the biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit.
And the price of orange juice jumped 7.7%, and coffee is up just over 3%. Nuggets take on the Hornets tonight after beating the Blazers. It's 2 in Centennial, 1 in Lakewood, 2 in Denver. Jeff and Billy just underway, and they continue.
Please don't tell my children that I just did that.
Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Chinook winds will return to the Front Range, allowing temperatures to moderate. We're going to go all the way to the 30s and low 40s today. We could eclipse 50 tomorrow as Chinook winds will warm us up. Lows will be teens and 20s tonight. Friday night could see a snow shower late as a front approaches. Lows 20s. Colder weather returns for the weekend. Low 30s Saturday. Saturday and Saturday night, a chance for a little bit of light snow. Highs upper 30s Sunday. Could trend colder again next week. I'm meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Look, are you ready to transform your kitchen or bathroom into a stunning masterpiece? Look no further than our friends at The Art of Granite, your premier destination for exquisite granite, marble, or quartz countertops. For over 15 years, Mitch Floria, the owner of The Art of Granite, has been crafting and installing custom countertops, fireplaces, showers, and more. Their team of experts will guide you through the selection process, ensuring you find the perfect stone to match your style and budget. Visit their showroom in Golden or browse their online inventory at theartofgranite.com. That's theartofgranite.com. Discover the endless possibilities for your home renovation. If you mention KNUS, you get a free bathroom countertop with new kitchen countertops, or choose a free kitchen or bathroom sink with any countertop package. Don't wait. Transform your home into the oasis you deserve. Schedule your free consultation with Mitch today. Go to theartofgranite.com. That's theartofgranite.com. If you mention KNUS, you get these exclusive savings. So transform your kitchen or bathroom dreams into a reality with Art of Granite. That's theartofgranite.com. All right, in a second, we're going to get Steffan Tubbs on the line here. Our friends over at Rocky Mountain Division of the DEA have put together a list of the top 10 most dangerous arrests that have taken place recently. And this is an interesting list. It is a lot of folks not from this country. Venezuelan, Trinidad gangs. You've got Honduras gangs, Again, more Venezuelan, El Salvador, Cuba. Goodness. Italy, they've arrested folks from. So it is quite the list that they have put together. These top 10 arrests to date. Joining us now, Steffan Tubbs, PIO, which means Public Information Officer for Rocky Mountain Division of the DEA. Good morning, Steffan.
Morning.
Jeff, Bill, good morning. Good to be with you guys from Denver International Airport. I've had enough of the 0 degrees, and I'm leaving.
You're pulling a Ted Cruz. You're in Cancun.
I'm actually heading west to San Diego for the weekend, so it's a pleasure to be with you guys.
Going home.
Yes.
That's fantastic, man. That's great.
Exactly. Get to see my son, and maybe they say, watch out, Dad. He said, it's really cold. And the weather's really bad. It's raining in 60. I'll take it.
Right. He's like, you'll have to wear the long shorts, the Bermudas. You can't go. Yeah, exactly.
No doubt. Now, let me ask you guys: did you see the top 10 pictures and all of that? Did that come through to you guys?
We did. We're looking at it right now, and we were reading off some of the nationalities: Venezuelan, Honduras. Italy,
Salvador.
Cuba, right? El Salvador. Now, this is top 10 arrests to date. How far does that go back?
So that, Jeff, is just in the last 2.5 weeks. So you guys certainly know that on January 26th, there was an early Sunday morning. It was 8 degrees. It was light snow. And there was this makeshift nightclub in Adams County. And this had been an investigation that had started, as we've discussed with you guys before, back in August. And in August, we intercepted 12 kilos of fentanyl pills, about 130,000 fentanyl pills that were coming presumably from Southern California through Utah, up to 15, then to I-70. And those pills, through, investigative work, they were determined that not only were they being smuggled by a member of Tren de Aragua, but they were headed to Aurora. And if they were headed to Aurora and it was TDA, you can probably imagine one of the locations. And, we can talk about that in a minute. But on January 26th, it started. And the top 10, and I'm sure you guys will put it out on social media. And, we did a lot of press with Denver area media yesterday. So those are just the top 10. They're not necessarily even the worst. There are people that are, accused of much more heinous crimes, but we can't release any information on them, at least right now, because of ongoing investigations. But we're talking about in the last 2 weeks, just the Drug Enforcement Administration, just DEA Rocky Mountain Field Division, we've arrested more than 90 people, 90, in 2.5 weeks.
That's amazing. Nice job.
That is incredible. But I've heard from other media, and I'd love for you to correct the record, that there weren't arrests at some of these. Or you only got
Jeff,
one guy,
it just depends on what media outlet you're watching or listening to or reading, right?
Sounds like it.
I mean, for anybody, if anybody remembers me on this fine radio station for 6 years, there was always seemingly trouble with one little television station. And let's just say they have not been fully accurate the last 2.5 weeks in coverage. I'm telling you, as a former talk show host and newsman, it's just simply a stunner.
Oh, yeah. We are shocked as well. Notice our shocked faces. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Totally shocked.
I can see that all the way here. I mean, right now, Lucifer the horse is covering his face. He's shocked.
Yeah, he is. He's so shocked.
So you guys have been making these arrests. You have been charging these folks.
Correct. And you know what? In all seriousness, I think it's a great time for not to set the record straight, because we have not said anything different from DEA's perspective. Here's the deal. You can go in, have your investigations go on, and they lead you, the investigation that could be months, sometimes years in the making, can lead you to a certain place. Well, there is a new, as we've talked about, you guys had, our special agent in charge, John Pullen, right there in studio with you not too long ago. There's a renewed focus with this administration, with the cooperation between not only DEA, but other federal partners. And there's just this refined focus to do now what was possible in the past, but there's been more, again, of that kind of the saying in DEA is laser focused, right? And what we're seeing right now, and just to make sure everybody listening, you're all on the same page, just because someone is not charged in state or federal court with a drug crime, now, because under the Department of Justice, we have Title VIII authority, which is immigration, we can take someone, let's just say, we're going to pick on Billy. Of course we would.
Oh, of course.
Billy is from Honduras, and Billy has a tattoo that may or may not link him to TDA. And Billy has been, unfortunately, he's made some poor choices, and Billy is a poly drug, cocaine and fentanyl distributor, and he's bringing these bad drugs in and killing people.
I call that being a small businessman, but it's a different.
They certainly, we're talking multi-billion dollar business with the cartels and stuff. But here's the thing that can happen now. Instead of going through a process where you have someone incarcerated, they're of course innocent until proven guilty. You have them face charges, they're in custody. They then go through the process of a trial, and there may be a trial if they don't plea. Then there's the cost of that to the taxpayer. And then if this individual, Billy, is sentenced to 15 to 25 years in federal prison, there's that cost as well. Under the Title VIII authority, if Billy's here illegally and he is from Honduras, we have the ability now, and we've had that ability to work with ICE. Certainly, they've been partners. But now we can turn this individual, Billy, over to ICE, avoid all of the cost to the taxpayer, and guess what? Billy's here illegally. He has committed a crime under the laws on the books, and Billy then faces deportation. And guys, that's what we're going to be seeing with a lot of the 90 plus arrests the last 2.5 weeks. Does that make sense?
That is incredible. Now you're listening to who's now the PIO of the DEA for the Rocky Mountain Division, joining Jeff and Bill live, talking about the top 10 most dangerous arrests they've made just in the last 2 weeks. And the cool thing there that Steffan just outlined is that they are expediting getting these individuals out of our community.
That's a good way to put it, Billy. Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. It's we're not going to screw with them. We're not going to worry about, charging them with anything. We're not going to push anything and worry about court cases. We're not going to worry about them getting lawyers at this point. We're just going to say, listen, you're here illegally. Now we are going to remove you completely from the community. You don't have any chance of getting out on bail. You have no chance of getting a not guilty or a hung jury or whatever might happen inside of court. It is just, you're here illegally, and we know you've done some other bad stuff. But the best and easiest course of action at this moment is to just get you the heck out of not only the Denver metro community, not only get you out of Colorado, but get you the hell out of this country. I love it.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, and I think that's a really good way to summarize it. And look, one person, and you both know personally how I feel. We did the non-DEA related, but we did the Devastated documentary. If there is one fewer person on the streets of the metro area peddling fentanyl, can we all agree that that's a good thing?
Oh, it's a wonderful thing.
I don't understand some of the pushback. And look, we at DEA are more than willing to answer the tough questions. All I ask is that you be first and foremost accurate in your reporting, and whether or not you're fair or not, I mean, that's up for the debate for the viewer or the listener. But to be flat out inaccurate, for example, one local television station has continually pushed the narrative that one of the guys that we got at the Edge of Lowry apartments, I've got video of the guy being let out in handcuffs. Well, there was erroneous reporting that, he was released from Adams County and is now, they made it sound like he's, shopping at Cherry Creek. Well, no, that wasn't the case. He was not facing any local state charges. But guess what? As soon as he was released from Adams County, he was placed immediately into ICE ERO custody, and he's either been deported already or he's currently still in federal custody. And it's just those types of errors. It's a disservice. And, I'm always going to be a newsman, and I always will strive to be accurate. And especially in this job, you've got to be. But to see some of the false reporting, and absolutely, you both know this, the agenda-driven news that we see in this city, it's disappointing, but that's not stopping anybody at DEA, and it will not. We will continue to have the foot, as the boss says, firmly on the gas pedal.
Now, you're listening to Steffan Tubbs. You know that voice from years here on 710 KNUS. He's now the PIO of the DEA for Rocky Mountain Division. Now, you know me, Steffan. I am the problem child in the Salem media family.
You are.
I am. So I'm going to ask the problem child question at this point. I love the idea that you're expediting getting these individuals, these criminals, out of our community. But what about local DAs that may have some victims of crimes these guys are involved in? What do we say to those district attorneys that may want to hold these guys accountable locally and get justice for local victims? What's the response?
You know what? I don't have one. I'm always honest with you. I've never even heard it. That's a good problem child question, Billy. I don't know what I would say this. I can only speak. This is just me personally. In my personal phone, I've probably got nearly 24 family members who lost, for example, in the fentanyl crisis, they lost their child. I would say if at minimum, someone responsible for their child's death, at minimum, if they know that they've gone through the system and they're no longer on the streets selling drugs that could kill and devastate another family. I mean, that's just me. I'm not trying to speak for them. As far as any charges, look, I'll use the example of the nightclub. We were hammered, right? We were hammered for, you did this big raid and there were no drug charges filed. Well, I've told you guys, I know, the explanation for that is, you go into this makeshift nightclub, it's 5 a.m. on a Sunday morning, it's 8 degrees outside, you've got a DJ and a bar and potential prostitution and drug use everywhere. It's rampant. You've got the lighting, the disco lighting, and the music is pumping. When we made entry on January 26th, what do they do with their drugs and guns?
Drop them on the ground.
They throw them behind couches. They drop them on, and somehow that was, to some reporting on this, somehow that was a shock that we did not bust 15 kilos of cocaine and disrupt it. No, we knew that this was a TDA party and linked to their associates, right? And that was successful. There were a total of 49 people detained. 41 of them eventually were put into ICE ERO custody. And these people they weren't there trying on a Sunday morning to determine the best route to sell Girl Scout cookies the following week, right? Many of them had criminal records. Many of them, I can just go down the list. Some of these crimes that over the last couple of weeks people are accused of: kidnapping, extortion, aggravated robbery, fentanyl distribution, polydrug distribution, which means you're smuggling in or dealing in multi-drugs, methamphetamine or ketamine or fentanyl or cocaine, child sex assault, fraud, larceny, property crimes, cocaine distribution. These are not individuals that you would say you'd want them to live next door to you or to be driving in the same shopping mall parking lot. These people are some of the worst. And again, we're going to continue to go after them. And it'll continue today.
That's what you love to hear. Talking to Steffan Tubbs, PIO, DEA Rocky Mountain Division. I think what the progressive media is trying to push out there is you guys organized 300 people. You only arrested one. It's a big show of force. Maybe we don't have so many illegal immigrants, all that stuff. How big of a challenge are those kind of tip-offs coming from either immigration activists or even maybe local media or maybe even somebody internally?
Yeah, it's a great question. Is it possible that, look, this major operation we saw, 8 days ago, that was basically round two, right? The first, it was supposed to happen on a certain day. There were leaks, and were they media? I mean, I've heard, and I'm not following it, but I heard there were media members that were actually in some of these apartments. Certainly 8 days ago at Cedar Run, which is 888 Oneida, which is kind of right off like Leetsdale and Quebec. There were activists out there almost at the same time we arrived with bullhorns. I mean, somebody's been tipped off, but it's frustrating for me. I'm not going to say it is for our men and women agents, but I know kind of how the media works, and it's frustrating. It's not going to deter us from what we're doing. But the message that I think some are trying to still, Jeff and Bill, they're still trying to convey this narrative that even DEA is going in and pulling out kids from schools, and without a warrant, we're knocking and pulling people out, making breakfast. That just is not true. We conducted at least 2 federal search warrants 8 days ago. And I want to give you just an anecdote. Not everybody at these apartments even are up in arms about the law enforcement activity. There was a grandmother. And let me just, as a sidebar, did you guys possibly see the picture that we posted on the DEA Rocky Mountain X page? It was basically graffiti, but I'll tell you exactly because it's emblazoned in my mind. What was written in English on a wall, an interior wall of the same building where 3 people have died of fentanyl poisoning the last month. And it said, "In loving memory of those lost to drugland." I didn't write that. None of our federal partners wrote that. That was scrawled, that graffiti, and I'll send you both a picture, and maybe you can post it. Right next to that, in a stairwell, was a woman, probably 50s or 60s, and she only spoke Spanish. And one of our assistant special agents in charge, Dave Oleski, who you guys have had on the show, and he certainly, when I was at KNUS, was on my show all the time. He's a wonderful man, caring, great father, incredible human being. He starts to speak with the grandmother in Spanish, and she tells him how happy she is that finally something is being done in this particular apartment building. She'd been the victim of 2 robberies. Her car was stolen. Her daughter and granddaughter lived maybe 3 or 4 doors down from where we executed a federal search warrant 8 days ago. And she was thankful. Now, you're not going to see that, or you're not going to hear a lot of that kind of coverage on most of the media. Instead, they want to make this that, again, we're doing things that well, at least in the media's mind, that we shouldn't do. And that grandmother and that graffiti, if you will, on the wall will always stick with me because, I mean, in loving memory of those lost to drugland, I mean, somebody wrote that, and it wasn't us. How long it had been there, but the fact that that was on a wall in the building where 3 people in the last 30 days had died of fentanyl poisoning, it was quite impactful.
Talking to Steffan Tubbs, PIO, that means Public Information Officer for the DEA Rocky Mountain Division. Steffan, I went down to the anti-Trump protests down there and in front of the Capitol.
Great videos, Jeff.
Spent like 4 hours. I actually ran out of phone battery. I could have spent 8 hours down there. I was having so much fun talking to folks. But I got to tell you, when I actually asked folks about the criminals, the rapists, the drug dealers, the Venezuelan gangs, not a single person there disagreed with the idea of getting them out of this country. This thing is getting murky, and that's being done purposely by progressive activists that want to muddy the water when it comes to safety. Even the most progressive, ardent immigration or illegal immigration supporters are looking at their communities going, we have serious criminals that need to go. And the people that are getting them out, Rocky Mountain DEA, we're so proud of the work you guys are doing, Steffan. Thanks for taking time this morning to join us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me and for making the time. This is not going to end. Again, to reiterate, we're focused The jobs will continue, and I'm more than happy to come on with you anytime. I'll text you guys the picture of the, we'll just call it graffiti. I think it's a stark reminder of why we're all doing this and why you guys talk about it and why I decided it was important enough to leave KNUS for this, and we're not going to stop. So thank you both.
You can follow Rocky Mountain DEA on X if you go to DEA Rocky MTNDIV, as in Rocky Mountain Division, but just type in DEA Rocky Mountain. You can follow there. They're posting incredible content, including everything that Steffan was just talking about. Have a great time in San Diego, brother.
Yeah, enjoy yourself.
Thank you, guys.
We'll continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour, I'm Christina Owayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced that the Department of Justice is suing New York and 3 officials over illegal immigration. Watch.
We have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DRJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today. As you know, we sued Illinois, and New York didn't listen. So now you're next.
8 people were arrested after the FBI Houston busted a large-scale sex trafficking ring in Texas that they say is connected to the violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. The investigation, which started in Nashville, Tennessee, found that women from Venezuela crossed into the country and were then forced into prostitution. According to court documents, some of the victims were separated from their kids in order to keep control of the women. Of those arrested, 3 migrants from Venezuela, who officials believe are part of the violent prison gang, Tren de Aragua. 5 others were arrested in Nashville. That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Owayo, Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. I want to take a moment to congratulate Tulsi Gabbard on being confirmed to be our chief national intelligence person. I hosted Gabby twice at the Western Conservative Summit, and she did Tulsi, Gabby, what is it? I was like, hosted Tulsi twice at the Western Conservative Summit, and she did a fantastic job. She didn't just come and speak like a lot of people did. She spent all weekend with us, hung out with the teenagers that were there for the student conference, and then got to meet our donors and other speakers, and she would just hang out. Tulsi did for 3 days at the Western Conservative Summit. She became a great friend, and I sure appreciate the fact she did that, and congratulations to her. I was reminded of this moment when Tulsi Gabbard stepped down from her role with the Democrat Party in order to support Bernie Sanders. And Bernie did not vote for her. It just goes to show progressives have zero loyalty.
As a vice chair of the DNC, I'm required to stay neutral in Democratic primaries, but I cannot remain neutral any longer. The stakes are just too high. That's why today I'm endorsing Senator Bernie Sanders to be our next president and commander-in-chief of the United States. We need a commander-in-chief who has foresight, who exercises good judgment, and who understands the need for a robust foreign policy which defends the safety and security of the American people, and who will not waste precious lives and money on interventionist wars of regime change. Such counterproductive wars undermine our national security and economic prosperity. As these elections continue across the country, the American people are faced with a very clear choice. We can elect a president who will lead us into more interventionist wars of regime change, or we can elect a president who will usher in a new era of peace and prosperity. It's with this clear choice in mind that I'm resigning as vice chair of the DNC so that I can strongly support Bernie Sanders as the Democratic nominee for president of the United States. And now I ask you, stand with me and support Bernie Sanders.
That was Tulsi Gabbard. That was part of her leaving the Democrat Party. She was committed to supporting Bernie Sanders. And then when it was time for Bernie to step up and support Tulsi, no, there is just no loyalty among the progressives.
Here's the thing is, though, I would push back a little bit on the loyalty. She switched parties. I think that may break some things. That the idea of loyalty. I mean, if things were reversed and it was Republican that came over to the Democrat side, I'm not certain we would critique the Republican not voting for the Democrat for any appointment based on a violation of loyalty. Because I would assume that at that point, at least in Congress, party is going to trump person to a certain extent there. I'm just guessing. But,
yeah. I look at the votes, though, under Biden, and you had plenty of Republicans that came over and supported Biden's picks. In this case, you have very few Democrats, if any at all, coming over to support Trump's pick. But again, like Tulsi Gabbard's exodus out of the Democrat Party started with that and the Hillary Clinton coup to keep Bernie Sanders from getting the nomination. She got frustrated with the process. She withdrew, supported Bernie Sanders. The Democrats then turned viciously on her. She had no home in the Democrat Party anymore. Republicans and conservatives and groups like us, the Western Conservative Summit, were happy to welcome her as she kind of moved in her worldview from the progressive worldview into the conservative worldview. And the conversations we had were always very pleasant. She always felt very welcomed by conservatives. I think she's become more conservative. People change. Look, I used to be a neocon. I'm not anymore. So people change their political outlets.
I used to be a Republican. I mean, you want to have something that'll shock everybody, not just you going from a neocon to where you are now. I used to be a registered Republican. Yeah, that's a shock. So, yeah.
You back there. Although I'm not sure the show would be as interesting.
No, and you wouldn't want me in the party anyway. I'm a problem.
Hey, with all the craziness going on right now, There's always room for a little bit
Oh,
more.
thank you.
All right. Jeff Hutt here for my friends at Mountain High Appliance. It's a new year, and it's time for you to get a kitchen upgrade. Save big during Mountain High President's Day event going on now. Save up to $3,700 on premium kitchen and appliances. KitchenAid appliances. KitchenAid has been a trusted name in homes and professional kitchens around the world for over 100 years. Built to last and made for those who love to cook. When you think appliances this President's Day, think Mountain High Appliance. Up next, you choose the news. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Get it started this Thursday morning, though, with some You Choose the News.
Yes, this is the time in which you're going to start making some very questionable decisions and wasting valuable airtime. It's something that we call America's favorite fake radio news game show, You Choose the News. I've scoured the interwebs for moments this morning to find really, really ridiculous stories about us humans, giving them even more stupid headlines so that we can play this fake radio news game show. Why? Because nobody in charge has any idea we are doing this. They don't actually wake up for about another 8 minutes, and so we are going to take full advantage of being left unsupervised, as our parents found out when we were teenagers. And again, remember, though, this is a secret. We cannot tell the people in charge, or all this goes away. All righty, Blake Olson is going to be joining us from the newsroom. Gentlemen, here are your choices this morning. Headline number 1, celebrating like Puffy. Headline number 2, DEI is dead. Long live DEI. Headline number 3, wouldn't touch the stuff. And headline number 4, Jonah Jr.
Dude, DEI is dead. Long live DEI.
DEI is dead. Long live DEI. We traveled to Raleigh, North Carolina for this one. You may have heard recently that it is the end of the woke. Yes, we are going to be renaming things that had their names changed. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth just signed an order directing the military to change the name of Fort Liberty back to Fort Bragg. But did he really? When you dig into it, he's not going back and naming it again after Southern General Braxton Bragg, despite the fact that Braxton's descendants were told that the Army would be naming it again after their great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. They're a little disappointed on this, when actually they're going to rename it after Private First Class Roland L. Bragg. He basically was awarded a Purple Heart and a Silver Star for his valiant fighting in World War II. But until then, if you said, I've never heard of Roland Bragg before, you wouldn't be the first one. He didn't even have a Wikipedia page until Tuesday. So
is this to avoid all the other Bragg stuff?
Yes.
basically?
Yeah. So understand
That's
that we were like, hey, we're not going to do the
is.
woke DEI thing, but we're also not going to name it the Confederate General guy again. So it's not DEI, but yet again, is it DEI? I don't know. I'm not
Sounds like it to me.
I know. The thing is, it's a shell game, and you're like, wait a minute. The other thing is, the Congress has to sign off on this. So the fact that he just signed a piece of paper in his sport coat and jeans on the plane, doesn't do much. But we'll see what happens.
See,
Alrighty.
the changing of things never bothered me because I want the power to just unname anything Barack Obama related later.
Yeah.
There we go. Now, alrighty, Blake
Agree with
Olson,
you.
your choices, sir. Celebrate like Puffy, wouldn't touch the stuff, or Jonah Jr.
Wow. Those are some great choices, Billy. Thank you, because I'll
You're
never
welcome.
celebrate like Puffy. So let's go. What is it, Jonah Jr.? Is that what you said?
Yes, Jonah Jr.
Okay.
Yes, Jonah Jr. Now we go back into the Bible for this one. You may remember the idea of Jonah being swallowed by the whale. Well, an extraordinary encounter that was caught on camera, a young man's kayaking adventure, took a Jonah-like disastrous turn. A whale emerged from the depths and engulfed him all the way inside its mouth. His father was just a couple of hundred yards, not a couple hundred yards, I'd say about 50 yards away, and got it on video. Father held it together for a second because about 30 seconds later, the whale spit him back out.
What?
Yeah, and then he paddled over to his dad. Yes, the footage shows the whale breaking the surface, swallowing the kayaker. It's a couple of seconds, but it seems like it goes on for hours, and then it comes back out. Yes, so he's okay.
Legendary.
I know. That's amazing. You put that on a t-shirt. And then you save that on your phone. You're like, hey, did you see my video? Yeah, that's what you do with that one.
Exactly.
Yeah, if a whale swallows you and spits you out, absolutely. Oh God.
Good.
Okay, final choice. Jeff, this morning, celebrate like Buffy or wouldn't touch the stuff?
I'm not going to touch that stuff.
No, don't touch this stuff. Over 60 years, Ringo Starr has been the center of many, many, many bizarre conspiracies. But recently, on appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live promoting his brand new solo album, Look Up, he confirmed one of them. Ringo Starr has never eaten pizza, despite being a spokesperson for Pizza Hut back in the 1990s. When asked about it, he goes, yeah, it seems strange, but I have an aversion because I'm allergic to several items. And with these allergies, you never know what they're putting on the pizza. So it's such a hodgepodge of things. I can't guarantee I won't have an allergic reaction. So he said, I've never eaten pizza.
Wow.
Crazy.
There you go.
I know.
All right.
All right,
We'll
back to you, Jeff.
continue. We got the illegal immigrant state lawsuits coming up. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is KNUS.
It is 7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, February 13th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations. You just woke up in the greatest country in history. Donald Trump's your president. Let's kick it off. We got a whole hour planned for you of engaging discussions, critical analysis, but most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab a cup of coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson, Kristi Noem posting yesterday, I've clawed back the full payment that FEMA deep state activists unilaterally gave to New York City migrant hotels. FEMA was funding the Roosevelt Hotel that serves as a TDA base of operation and was used to house Laken Riley's killer. Mark my words, there will not be a single penny spent that goes against the interest and safety of the American people. Pam Bondi announcing new lawsuits against states allegedly failing to comply with immigration actions. This is a new DOJ. At the same time, Denver Public Schools suing the Trump administration to block immigration raids at schools. We're going to cover all of this and more. But first, Blake Olson.
Blake Olson. Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, 3 degrees and clear. Thank you, Jeff and Billy in Denver. Expecting a high of 37 today and sunshine and clear skies. So that means, you know what? It's going to feel like it's 50, 55 with that sunshine and blue sky outside. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
What we're going to do is tomorrow I'm having a news conference. I'm going to read to you some of the names that hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars have been given to. And if you tell me that we should be giving money to those things, those entities, I think you'll probably have to leave as a reporter because you're not very talented.
Huge day in D.C. today. Frauds will be exposed. And guess what? The Wall Street Journal says the DJT and Elon have done more in the last 3.5 weeks than the great Ronald Reagan did in 8 years.
When you look at the kind of money, billions and billions of dollars being thrown away illegally, and there's no chance. I mean, I say it in front of our attorney general, there's no chance that there's not kickbacks or something going on. When you give millions and millions of dollars to somebody that stands to look at something for 15 minutes and walks away with millions of dollars, that money's coming back in some form. And that's only one form of corruption. The biggest thing is what they do to our country. They're taking massive amounts of money and spending it on items. I went through a list of 200 expenditures that were made, and I found 3 that looked like they were reasonable. Okay, 3.
And here come the kickbacks. Hey, Pam Bondi with the big presser last night as well.
We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the mom standing right behind me, who you're going to hear from in a moment. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today.
And Steffan Tubbs from the DEA Rocky Mountain Division on the show last hour, talking the biggest drug busts in Colorado and TDA the last 2 weeks. And he just used Billy as an example. You know, he's a storyteller. Nice job. Now I understand everything. If Billy were TDA and pushing drugs, now the Colorado DEA can do their job.
We have the ability now, and we've had that ability to work with ICE. Certainly, they've been partners. But now we can turn this individual, Billy, over to ICE, avoid all of the cost to the taxpayer, and guess what? Billy's here illegally. He has committed a crime under the laws on the books, and Billy then then faces deportation. And guys, that's what we're going to be seeing with a lot of the 90+ arrests the last 2.5 weeks.
She gone. I'm a little interested in the amount of text messages of people going, "Wait, Billy's being deported."
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in the number of applause and cheers and stuff like that. It's hurt my feelings a bit.
If you had a tattoo, though, Billy, what would it be? And you were TDA.
Good question.
Oh, geez, that's a good question.
And where would it be? No, forget I asked you that question.
Yes, I'm sorry. What I was going to say there? No, that would have gotten me another call from HR.
If I was going to join a like South American or Hispanic gang, I would get the tattoo that one guy has of the señorita. Like on his chest all the way across.
Yeah.
You know the big movie star? I forget his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I don't know.
Oh,
A
geez.
Mexican señorita.
Picturing.
Yeah. Oh God, the hell's I see brain fart. But the actor, he actually in his contract, he says that whenever he plays a villain in a movie, contractually that character has to die. He says he will not perform in the movie unless the character that's a villain has to die. And you know why?
That makes sense.
He's actually a nice guy.
Yeah, well, he says,
And a good guy.
I don't want to show the kids that people like that survive.
Yeah.
He said, this is a message to everybody watching. So,
Love
yeah,
it.
I think it's kind of cool.
I love it.
Yeah, and
man.
I'm avoiding the tattoo question.
I'm just having images of saggy jeans on you.
Oh, yeah, you'd
And
like to see my
chains.
underwear. You know how that is.
And sunglasses.
Like those guys that are dragging their pants so low. You're like, the crotch is at your knees. And I never could figure out, how do you run from the cops with those pants? I mean, it seems like this is a problem here. I don't understand.
Makes no sense.
Logic is not their strong suit.
That's true. That's a good point.
That's true. I know we have some listeners out there that can make a meme of you, though.
Oh, I bet. Now, the issue is that if I was going to get that type of a tattoo, it would have to be a tattoo that I can make it move or do something, like either move my stomach or do the thing in the arm. If it doesn't do something, there's no point in it.
Danny Ternillo.
Yes, Danny Ternillo. Thank you.
Yeah,
yes, thank you. Thank you so much for clearing up the brain fog. I appreciate
That's
that.
one of our listeners.
Yeah. The other part is, you know me, it would have to include a snake at some point or another. I'm just saying it would have to. Yeah, whatever happens. I mean, I don't care if it's the gang colors or anything else. Gonna have to have a snake. It has to.
Right on your stomach so you can make it move.
Ooh, there
I'm
we
gonna
go.
have some fun with AI imaging right now.
And I was going to say things about the snake and where the tail's going. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that today. No,
Janet wants some
there are kids that are listening.
We went there yesterday. President Trump says he's going to announce reciprocal tariffs today in a post on Truth Social. Trump said it's been 3 great weeks since he's been in office and called today a big one. The president said that the reciprocal tariffs would be for every country the U.S. trades with and that places tariffs on American goods. Trump said they would solve unfair trade practices that have been going on for years. This comes after Trump placed a 10% tariff, of course, on Chinese goods last week and a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum on Monday. A major winter storm is spreading snow and ice from the Midwest to the Northeast. Heavy snow is forecast through the day across the Great Lakes area and to the Northeast. So if you are flying to those regions today from DIA, the flights may be delayed. Make sure you check before heading out. 2 Navy pilots are recovering after an F-18 fighter jet crashed off the California coast. I just saw the video a couple hours ago. Wow. The Navy says that the 2 pilots are in stable condition following Wednesday morning's crash in the San Diego Bay. Officials say the pilots ejected safely before their jet hit the water, prompting a swift response from the Navy, Coast Guard, and Harbor Police.
Is Goose okay?
Good question.
Yeah, it sounds like the crash in Top Gun. Crashed into an ocean.
Yo, Goose from Top Gun.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I'm bad on all that. Yeah. God. Did you see the video?
No, I haven't seen the video, but it crashes into an ocean.
Lord have mercy. I mean, it is incredible. Thank God they ejected. So we've had 3 or 4 crashes, near death experiences A huge amount of loss of life in the crash in DC. Been a lot of stuff happening. Yeah, 4 or 5 incidents. So
it looks like they got them both out, the pilots.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they're both
so
out.
Goose is okay.
Thank Goose is
Jeez,
okay.
This thing went straight into the water.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It is nuts, man. It's incredible video. Thank God.
I'll post it on my X account.
Yeah, please do. It's incredible. Elon is prepared to withdraw his $97 billion bid for OpenAI with one condition. In a court filing on Wednesday, a lawyer for the tech billionaire said that Musk will withdraw his bid for the AI nonprofit if its board of directors preserve the charity's mission and halt its conversion to a for-profit corporation. The offer was quickly dismissed by OpenAI. Washington, D.C.'s Watergate Hotel is notifying guests about a data breach that happened last year. A post on the hotel's website says that someone accessed the Watergate's records last April. The hotel says names, social security numbers, financial account information, and other data may have been exposed. Nuggets take on the Hornets tonight. NBA action after defeating Portland. It is 2 degrees in Englewood, 1 in Boulder, 3 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue.
And we don't know what all they have on us. We don't know what all they have on us.
Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Chinook winds will return to the Front Range, allowing temperatures to moderate. We're going to go all the way to the 30s and low 40s today. We could eclipse 50 tomorrow as Chinook winds will warm us up. Lows will be teens and 20s tonight. Friday night could see a snow shower late as a front approaches, lows 20s. Colder weather returns for the weekend. Low 30s Saturday and Saturday night, a chance for a little bit of light snow. Highs upper 30s Sunday, could trend colder again next week. I'm meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, the battle over illegal immigration is heating up. FEMA yanking back $80 million that New York City meant to cover hotel costs for migrants. Kristi Noem talking about how she clawed that back. And then the Denver public schools are now suing the Trump administration to block immigration raids at schools. The DPS lawsuit comes after the February 5th raids across Denver metro area prevented school buses from picking up children. They're suing the U.S. Department of Homeland Security in an effort to block federal immigration agents from making arrests at schools as the Trump administration ramps up mass deportations nationwide. This is so stupid in my mind, the idea that you're creating these little safe spaces for illegal immigrants not to be arrested. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to go to the safe spaces. Let's go to the phone lines. Mary, Wyoming. Good morning, Mary. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Morning.
Hey, good morning. I want to start by saying I left Denver 8 years ago. And why did I leave Denver? Because of the decision making that you're being a sanctuary state now. And if I was going to come in for a job and you're attracting these businesses that you want, to have to increase, well, you're not attracting people who are red. I mean, giving your gun laws, giving how your other kinds of issues, you're not going to attract Republican type people. So you have that issue. And then when you do something like this regarding approaching about you're going to have sanctuary and hospitals, etc., you're making them like a gun-free zone. And who goes to those gun-free zones to kill? Your criminals, etc. They're going to start hanging out in those areas. They're going to start putting those people in hospitals, schools, etc. They're going to put them in danger because they're going to go there to prevent being arrested.
But how would the gang members get access to the school and necessarily the hospital? That's what I can't figure out. is
you go in the front door. Where
but
do you
can't.
have a
But Mary, you can't. You can't just walk in the front door. You have to get rung in, and then there's a process and a procedure. And at the front desk, they have to check who you are.
Tell me when I went in. I had a friend that took the emergency room. We just walked in. There was no check-in. You know what I mean? In other words, there was no security in the hospital that we walked in.
Well,
there was a person behind the screen.
In the hospital per se, where you're going to hide. But the more importantly is the schools.
It's not a matter of hide. Hey, I'm in there. You can't come in and get me.
But then how are you getting access to the schools? I return to that original question. You can't
Good
just necessarily
point about the school. They're a little bit better, so maybe not. Because aren't they asking for those
churches? Yeah, it'll be churches, schools, hospitals. I mean, churches have notoriously, even during Trump's first administration, been like, oh yeah, we have an illegal immigrant living here. We dare you to come in and get her, and they never did.
Yeah, although I think that would be different than gang members per se. I think there would be a little bit of a different issue if, say, a local church and or hospital were housing or hanging on to TDA members versus someone that might be working at a hotel, cutting grass, or working as a janitor somewhere that might be illegal. So I think that would be a different scenario per se.
But they're allowed to walk in the church. In other words, if I'm being chased by, ISIS, etc. If I run in a church or a hospital, given this, is it legislation? Is that what they're proposing?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's
John Hickenlooper and Michael Bennett and Democrats in Congress. Yeah.
Okay, then in other words, all I have to do is just get my foot inside of a church or a hospital, and I'm safe.
Well,
you can't come and touch me.
Not necessarily. No, not necessarily. And again, I think some of the stuff that I've seen about the bill, I think they've written it way too wide, and they've named way too many spaces in order to make this reasonable. And for it to pass, I think it's going to be more show. But the issue that I've got is that, again, if we're talking about chasing down criminals, we can have a different conversation about people that are here illegally and are working under the table or working on fake documents. But I think we're more important.
But isn't that who they're protecting with this bill?
But but the issue, I'm trying to delineate the two categories of groups, and I'm just saying that I am less concerned about them having a sanctuary for someone that is here undocumented and is working under the table or working on false documents versus the criminals, versus the TDA gang members. And I would be hard pressed to think of any church or even a hospital or a school that would act as base. We were not playing tag like we're kids on the playground. That if the TDA gang members come into the church and say, sorry, you can't do anything with us, I'm hard pressed to find a church that would say, oh, obviously we need to protect these people that are gang members and causing crime and impacting negatively our own community. I think we can make a different argument for someone that might be working as a janitor at the hospital, someone that might be cutting grass for the city, or just doing, lawn care or shoveling walks in your local neighborhood. I think that's a different conversation because I think the impact on the local community is different. We can disagree about the idea of the church and the hospital being base, but I think that who is declaring it to be base also needs to be taken into this. And I don't think that Hickenlooper and the other guys are taking that into consideration. And that's one of the problems I have with their legislation.
You're going to get activists, and you saw it and you heard it from Steffan Tubbs. These people were out there just as quickly as ICE were, yelling to everybody that, don't open your doors. You don't have to comply, all that type of stuff. You have some radical activists that don't want anybody deported. And you have some progressive churches that will hide gang members. They may not want to, but this just reeks to me of the same stuff that Hamas does, where they're like, oh, you're bombing hospitals. Well, that's because you put your weapons base under the hospital. These people are willing to risk innocent lives to protect criminals.
And do you guys understand on why I'm saying you're never going to be a red state? I mean, I doubt if you're ever going to get purple because of your positions, because of your sanctuary, because of your gun laws. I can go on because of just the kind of thinking that Bill has, that you can go ahead and protect these illegals and that it's okay because some of them may be good people. Never mind using our rules and our regulations, our immigration laws. We have ways of allowing people to come into this country, even on work visas like agriculture. I mean, we have ways of accommodating them. And like they're starting to say, it's not our immigration laws that are bad, it's our enforcement or lack of.
Now,
that
Mary,
is the issue.
I respect what you're saying, but Mary, is the slow process and the limited number of visas that are allowed for the immigrants that want in, is that actually an incentive for illegal immigration?
I believe we need to revise it. I believe we need to make it that more, but you can't bring the whole world over here. We can't.
I don't think we're looking at bringing
the whole.
I don't think we're bringing the whole. I don't think we're bringing the whole world over here. But where I'm pushing back on this,
millions and millions and millions in a short period of time. You think our culture can absorb it?
Well, so far it seems that, I mean, we have gang pockets, but so far,
Not just gangs. You have more and more people that are assuming that it's their community. They're not here to assimilate.
But
that's one of the things that I get real frustrated because they're not willing to learn our language.
Mary, hang on. Their kids are in school. They're learning our language. I understand the parents, there is some barriers there. But the issue that I've got is we're sitting here talking about things like schools. We have those kids in our public schools. Those are kids that
our
are
immigration laws require that they know the language, that they're not on subsistence, that they're self-supporting, all the things that these people are not.
And again, are our immigration laws incentivizing illegal immigration because of the long process and everything else that goes into it? And we know, based on immigrants that are here either illegally or legally, that it takes about a generation for them to assimilate. And mostly it's the kids. And the way that the kids help the parents assimilate is, wait for it, our school system. Our school system. And that's where they learn the language. That's how. So that's the part that I'm pushing back on. And I understand the idea of the criminals, but I do have an intellectual disagreement with the idea that we are going to view someone that comes across the border and is trying to make a better home, a better life for their family here or their family back home, and other than crossing the border illegally, they're not. Hang on, Mary.
Our job
hang on, Mary. I know it's not our job, but I am drawing personally an intellectual distinction that I view them differently than the people that come here and perpetrate crime. I view those two classes of people totally differently. I'm not saying that I excuse the person that came here illegally, but I'm not holding them to the same contempt and the same standard that I have on the criminal gang members that are here. I view them as different populations. I don't think you do.
And I'm asking, when is enough enough? How many do we take? How many of these do we take that do not?
Oh, no, I didn't cut Mary off. She's still connected there. I didn't. Are you there, Mary? I'm holding. I didn't cut her off. I didn't. Everyone thinks it's always me. I didn't. I think hopefully she'll call back.
We'll get Mary back here. I mean, that's the debate. That is the debate that I've learned going down and talking to the immigration activists. They feel like those that have come here illegally, technically it's a crime, but I remember one person saying to me, it's kind of like getting a speeding ticket. We're not going to kick you out. I don't want to go through the whole process of deporting you. You're generally probably a good person who's just trying to better their lives. But to Mary's point, it got too much. There's just too many. It was a stress on the system. And you have to have considerations about assimilation and how well they're assimilating. And I take a different perspective that if you broke the law, I don't consider you to be a good citizen if the first act you did coming into this country was to break one of our immigration laws. So join the conversation. Phone lines are open, 303-696-1971. Bill, I got to show you these AI-generated gang.
Oh, Jesus. I can't wait to see these. Okay, we'll take a look.
These up here in a second. Or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Do you know a high school student who has a passion for engaging in cultural and political issues? The knowledge and skills needed to impact the world through civic engagement is an ever-increasing need in today's society. Colorado Christian University is at the forefront of meeting this crucial need, equipping the next generation of competent, convictional Christian leadership in American politics. CCU's degree program in politics with an emphasis in public policy prepares students for the complex challenges of modern politics from an unapologetically Christian and foundationally conservative worldview. In this distinct program, students learn how to impact public policy and advance Christian conservative ideas. Colorado Christian University also houses the Centennial Institute, a think tank committed to mobilizing ideas on faith, family, and freedom to strengthen America's future. CCU's mission to produce graduates who impact the world with grace and truth applies in no greater measure than to our politics and public policy program. Apply today at ccu.edu/apply. That's ccu.edu/apply. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. The Trump administration, the states facing off on illegal immigration, lawsuits flying both ways. In fact, the Denver Public Schools now suing the Trump administration to block immigration raids at schools. Lots of text messages coming in on this one. This is a new one from 6268. Bill, the kids aren't assimilating. The schools don't enforce that these kids speak English. They provide translators. When they go home, they speak their native language, and the parents aren't learning English.
Yeah, I understand the perspective, but that's somewhat incorrect because the kids are in school with English speakers. And so, yes, ESL programs do provide translators in some areas, but what they do is they blend them as far as English. And these kids, in order to interact and in order to connect with American culture where they are now, they need to learn English. They have a desire to learn English. As a friend of the show and a superstar IT guy here, Mark Crowley, points out, Wheel of Fortune spends a lot of time. Lots of people go on the show and say, I learned a lot of English by watching Wheel of Fortune when I was a kid. The other thing is the kids come home and speak English to the parents. The parents sometimes don't understand, but that is the first breach of the language barrier, are the kids coming home and speaking English to them and helping the parents learn English. The kids oftentimes become the translators for the adults in their regular life. When they go to the bank, when they go to the hospital, the kids are the ones that end up translating the English that the parents don't necessarily know at that time. So I'm sorry, that's incorrect. But again, as I pointed out, this change usually takes at least a generation. It's not something that happens instantly.
Let's go back to the phone lines. By the way, if you want to see a AI generation of Bill Thorpe as a member of TDA, it's on my ex account at Jeff Hunt.
That is fantastic.
And
I have so
Steffan
much
Tubbs
hair.
responded, "We need to get Aurora tattooed on your forehead."
Yes. Oh, there it is. It's up on the YouTubes and the Twitters and the and the X's. And if you're watching us, the Rumbles and stuff, there it is. There it is.
Bill Thorpe is
that.
a TDA. I don't think he's learning English in that picture.
I don't know.
All right. Let's go to Mary in Wyoming. Good morning, Mary. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Welcome back.
Hey, I'm back. One of the things that I kind of want to close with in saying, we started this with our generosity. I'm 80 years old, and I remember we had United Way drives about feeding these starving children in these third world countries. And we did, and I remember everyone talking about how wonderful it was we saved all these children. These are the children that instead of in those care packages of the food that we said, we should have been including birth control and condoms. Because those are the children that now have had, even in all their poverty, have 6 and 7 children themselves in their own country.
Well, don't tell Doge
those
that.
Children are the ones that are
Mary,
illegals. No,
whatever you do, don't tell
those are
Doge
the
that.
children that are coming across the border now.
Don't tell Doge, don't tell Trump, don't tell Elon that, because Elon was just super big mad when he was in the Oval Office the other day doing the joint press conference with his co-president about the about the amount of money that we're spending on condom distribution throughout Africa and Mozambique and other countries. He was big mad about that. So don't tell Elon or Doge about the idea that birth control could actually be a solution, because he doesn't like that. He doesn't think that's okay.
That or
well, at any rate,
we
caused the situation. In other words, because that's those illegals of all those third generation, like you're saying, instead of, because if they had in their poverty and all the worst things that were going on in their country, and Peter Boyles used to say that. Peter Boyles talked about you have a revolution from your knees, and we because we fed and clothed and made them pretty much whole. They never went after their government. There's never been a revolution for the changes that happened in our country.
Of USAID, billions of dollars. It's increased by 100% going out to other countries. We're just continuing to fund that. Mary, sure appreciate the call.
Yeah,
thanks so much
back.
for dialing in. Bill, why don't you tell us about Colorado Wound Care?
Yeah, we've got a brand new advertiser here on the Jeff and Bill Show, and they are changing the game as far as wound care here in our state. Now, again, you're like, wound care? When do I care about wound care? Here's the deal. As you get older, you heal a little bit slower, and it takes a little bit of time for your body to knit stuff back together. So you can easily develop a chronic wound. And remember that cut, even if it's tiny, is the perfect place for dirt, germs, and bacteria to enter your body. This is personal for me because my aunt dealt with this. She had a chronic wound. It just wasn't healing. She would go to wound treatment. in the medical facility. Part was a hospital at sometimes, a clinic at another time. And while there getting treatment, she was exposed to MRSA. MRSA got access to her body through the open wound. That little tiny cut became a very, very big deal. She spent weeks in the hospital over and over. Eventually, it led to some amputations. It impacted her life for years. And it wasn't just because she got a little cut. It's because what that little cut, because it didn't heal quickly, allowed to get inside her body. Jennifer, who started Wound Care Associates of Colorado, had the same experience with her uncle. You might have heard me talk about it. And what Jennifer learned is that ignoring the problem doesn't fix the problem, that ignoring a wound can be a very big deal. She lost her uncle because of this. Things like slow healing cuts, diabetic ulcers, pressure sores can be incredibly challenging to manage, and they can easily impact your quality of life. So that's why you need to reach out to Wound Care Associates of Colorado if someone in your family or yourself has a chronic wound. They are wound care trained professionals, a wound care certified nurse that comes to your home and delivers the custom care that you need in a compassionate, comprehensive environment. And again, in the privacy of your own home. Yes, they're going old school. They don't want you exposed to anything that you possibly could in a hospital or a wound care treatment facility. They're doing that custom concierge service where you get the treatment you need in the comfort of your own home. How cool is that? Reach out to them today at coloradowound.com, coloradowound.com. Their trained professionals will come and assess your wound. They'll develop a personalized treatment plan just for your wound and your issues and provide all the necessary care to heal your wound. Did you hear that word there? Heal your wound? That's the other reason that Wound Care Associates of Colorado are complete game changers in this space. Other wound care treatment facilities want to maintain the wound. That's what was going on with my aunt. That's why she was exposed to MRSA, because they weren't healing the wound. Why the hell does that make any sense? Why would it make any sense that you're getting treatment for an open wound, but the one thing they're not trying to do is make it better? That's not what Wound Care Associates of Colorado does. They'll make sure that you get all the comprehensive care that you need in the comfort and privacy of your own home, and they'll give you everything necessary to heal your wound. Think about it. Receive expert care in your own home, a tailored care plan that addresses your specific needs, and it reduces the risk of complications and promotes healing. They're not ignoring the problem. They're fixing the problem. coloradowound.com. Talk to Wound Care Associates of Colorado today. If your loved one is struggling with a chronic wound, do not wait. That little problem can become a big problem. coloradowound.com, coloradowound.com to schedule your in-home visit today. And when you talk to them, tell them you heard about them here on the Jeff and Bill Show, because we really appreciate it. Thanks.
The FBI says it has discovered 2,400 new records associated with the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. National correspondent Rory O'Neill will have the story next. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. The FBI says it has discovered 2,400 new records associated with the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. National correspondent Rory O'Neill has the story and joins us now. Good morning, Rory.
Hey, good morning. Happy Thursday.
Likewise. So do we know who the second shooter was?
Oh, wait, I'm still on page 1,642. I got 2,400 total, so hang on. I haven't gotten to the end. Yeah, a lot of the experts are saying these 2,400 documents might be interesting, but they're not expecting them to be jaw-dropping, although they're not closed off to that idea.
I mean, this has been going on now for what, 60 plus years? I don't know. I mean, are we expecting to learn anything new? What could we learn new at this point?
Well, some of this might relate to the CIA and how it was tracking or failed to track Lee Harvey Oswald. You know, especially this trip that Oswald took 6 weeks before the assassination of President Kennedy. Oswald went to Mexico City on a visit that included a stop at the Soviet embassy there. You know, did the CIA track him? Did they track him when he got back into the U.S. and tip off the FBI? Or did they drop the ball on that? And that's something I think that that may be addressed in some of this, is the CIA connection. But again, we didn't get much of a preview from the FBI about these documents.
Now, President Trump has requested that I think these all be released here in the next few weeks, months. What's the timeline on this? And is it all finally going to be released?
Well, maybe. You know, some of it, Donald Trump tried to do this in his first term, but some of this is these 2,400 documents. The FBI says one reason they found them all is because now they're computerized. You know, in 1979 or whatever, you'd have to go back to the third floor office of the FBI building in Dallas and that, 18th filing cabinet on the right, 4 doors down, and actually find it. Now, though, this stuff is on computers. They say that's part of the reason they were able to find the information. A lot of it they think may be duplicative. We already got it from this guy, but now we got it from this guy. Okay. Now it's getting declassified. So we'll see if we get clean sheets of paper or if they have a whole lot of redactions and black magic marker on them. That's still a bit of a mystery as we go forward here.
You're listening to Rory O'Neill, NBC News National Correspondent. Just based on what you know about these 2,400 documents so far, is this going to put an end to the conspiracy theories? Or is this just going to continue them possibly and say, they're obviously not telling us the whole story? What's your opinion?
Right. Yeah. Oh, no. It's an industry now. There are books sold, movies made. It's a thing. So yeah, it'll stick. It's like baseball cards. It's we may not buy and sell them like we used to as kids, but they're still around.
Talking to Rory O'Neill, NBC News National Correspondent. Now, there were 2 other assassination attempts against Donald Trump that took place over the summer. We haven't gotten much information on that either. Are they still investigating those 2?
They are. In fact, the White House press secretary was asked about those assassination attempts just yesterday. She said that she didn't have anything new to release, but said that essentially it's up to the president to decide how much of that information is released, since it revolves around an attack on him. So they think, so she was essentially deferring to him. And I should note, by the way, that in addition to releasing these JFK documents, the president's directive did say that he wants everything released about RFK and MLK as well.
How about Lincoln? have we got all the documents on the Lincoln assassination? It's only been over 100 years, but yeah.
Can I tell you ask you my favorite trivia question?
Oh, please. I'd love to hear it.
What was the name of the play Lincoln was watching?
Oh, gosh. I know this. I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
I bet it's not Death of a Salesman.
No, it was.
Okay.
It was kind of a comedy around America, but yeah, go ahead. What is it?
Our American Cousin.
Our American Cousin. That's right. I saw a video of a guy. It was it was a 1960s video, and it was like a game show or a talk show. And there was some kid he was now in his hundreds or something like that, 80s or 90s. He was very old, but he was in the theater as a 5 or 6 year old the night that Lincoln was assassinated, and remembers the chaos there.
Yep. That's a good clip, a black and white clip from back in the day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Wow. All right. Well, it just seems
crazy.
like in America, we don't get the answers, apparently.
Groucho Marx was asking him the questions, right? So that would have been, that make that up. Yeah, it's a good clip.
Rory O'Neill, NBC News National Correspondent, reporting on 2,400 new records associated with the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Still a lot to review and some that needs to be declassified and released. And we'll check in with him as that continues to come out. Rory, thanks so much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, thanks. Enjoy your day.
Thanks, guys.
I mean, it just feels like we never get the full answer on this. Maybe we have the answer and we just want there to be more there, right?
That's what I'm worried about, is that we have the answer, but we aren't accepting the answer because of all the questions. And because so many questions have lingered for so long, they are now accepted as truth, or at least, as the last administration, the alternative truth and alternative facts. And that's the difficult part, is I'm not certain that we will ever get resolution on the JFK assassination because of everything that's been written, because of all the questions, and because of stuff that just sometimes seems a little odd about it. So I don't know. But again, I'm not going to delve too deeply into it because that's more of the Pete Boyles thing.
I was going to say that's a Pete Boyles thing.
Yeah, that's his bailiwick.
Are you a single gunman guy? Is that where you land on this one? Lee Harvey?
The thing for me is that so far I am, but I have questions about the second shooter on the grassy knoll as far as what went on there. The problem is I don't have enough information to disprove what they have said so far. So I am going to just go with the current explanation until it is disproven. It doesn't mean that I am a full-throated defender of the explanation. But I feel that there were so many things that were done so wrong within the first 24 hours after the assassination that we will never know, because so many things were done incorrectly, like cleaning the car right away. We know that the bodyguard that was there protecting his wife talks about picking up a bullet off of the car seat and putting in his pocket and then kept it for decades. I mean, all sorts of little things like that don't seem to make sense. And Lee Harvey Oswald's connections, but could he have had the ability to do it? Yeah, he could have. He's in the right place at the right time. Also, the idea that JFK was worried about being in a convertible and didn't really want to do that. And it just seems like that position at that point, it's, as far as presidential security, it is a shocking lack of judgment. But we have seen security around the president have shocking lacks of judgment. One in the previous 12 months. Yes, exactly. So it's not as if human error couldn't have played a part in making this so easy. So unfortunately, I am going to go with the official line only because I have nothing yet that shows me concrete that there's anything different. But am I going to support and full-throatedly defend the official line? No.
I wonder too, I don't think you're going to get a document that says memo, President Johnson.
Yeah.
We did this in an effort to, you're not going to get,
and you're not going to
have an FBI, CIA document because if that existed, they would have burned it a long time ago.
There's no one that is going to, from either the CIA or the FBI, if they were involved in this, to, turn in an expense report about what they had to spend money on that weekend. There's not going to be any paper trail on this. So that's the problem, is that we're so far removed from that, we're never probably going to have enough information to, know what actually happened.
Text message 2775. Some rep tweeted that the JFK docs show there are 2 shooters. I don't know if she said the docs show that. Maybe she did.
Yeah. I haven't seen that yet, but I'm assuming that if that is contained inside the documents, that is going to be big news, because if all of a sudden it disproves all the conventional theories, that would be a top line story. That would be a headline story.
Oh, it'd be huge.
Yeah. So if it's true, that is going to percolate up. So if that representative is right, that'll percolate up through the information.
Jason in Denver saying Lincoln was watching Beetlejuice.
So many jokes there.
The politicians do like Beetlejuice.
Yes, they do.
All
yes.
right. We've got a lot to cover
and Kid Rock concerts.
In the next hour. Colorado programs are being frozen as a result of these freeze orders that are coming from President Trump. What kind of programs? And Do you appreciate these being frozen? We'll get into that. Also, you can call and text us if you want to join the conversation. What do you think are in those 2,400 documents? Who killed JFK? We'll take a little trip down a Peter Boyle show if you want.
If you got a theory, let us know, because this is
You're
not one where I've
welcome
done
to
a ton of
join the
homework on.
conversation.
Yep.
So we've got a whole lot coming up. You're not going to miss it. And then the 9 o'clock hour, leaders from the Chamber of Commerce of Littleton are going to be joining us, the city of Littleton. So get to hear about what's happening in that great city. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
It is 8 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, February 13th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations. You just woke up in the greatest country in history. Donald Trump's your president. We're off and running. We got a whole hour of discussion coming up with you, critical analysis, but most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab a cup of coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson, $570 million in federal funding remains inaccessible to Colorado following Trump's freeze, officials say. Our friends over at the Denver Gazette reporting Colorado's governor and both of the state's U.S. senators asked the director of the federal budget office Monday to unlock what they said was more than $570 million in federal funds that remained inaccessible to state groups after a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to lift a sweeping funding freeze. In a letter, Governor Jared Polis and U.S. Senators Michael Bennet and John Hickenlooper asked OMB Director Russell Vought to ensure that the funds are unfrozen, citing a federal court ruling that put a pause on the administration's freeze. What are they funding? Is it worth spending our tax dollars on all this? We'll get into this and more. But first, Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
All right, thanks, Jeff and Billy. 5 degrees and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 37 today with sunshine and blue skies. It's going to be beautiful for February. Remember, it is February and Valentine's Day is tomorrow. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
This report tells us how to cut waste, cut red tape, streamline the bureaucracy, change procurement rules, change the personnel rules, and create a government that works better and costs less.
I've read it, and where it says the president should, the president will.
That was Bill. What happened to those guys after that?
Yeah.
Today is a big day in D.C. and could be one of the biggest days in the history of our nation. And many hope so. Caroline Levitt.
Let me be very clear. We are not trying to hide anything. We have been incredibly transparent and we will continue to be. These are screenshots of contracts that DOJ found across our government. Oh, I love this one. $57,000 for climate change in Sri Lanka. What is this doing to continue the interests of the American people? Absolutely nothing. These are the line items across the federal government that DOJ is identifying daily. They're moving very fast. There's a lot of paper that we can show you, but we're happy to do it. This administration has been more than transparent about what DOJ is doing. And here's one of their tweets that they posted about the mine. I believe this is in Pennsylvania, where the federal employee retirement system is being processed.
Today, frauds and corruption will be exposed. And the Wall Street Journal says that DJT and Elon have done more in 3.5 weeks than the great Ronald Reagan did in 8 years.
What we're going to do is tomorrow I'm having a news conference. I'm going to read to you some of the names that hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars have been given to. And if you tell me that we should be giving money to those things, those entities, I think you'll probably have to leave as a reporter because you're not very talented. When you look at the kind of money, billions and billions of dollars being thrown away illegally, and there's no chance. I mean, I say it in front of our attorney general, there's no chance that there's not kickbacks or something going on. When you give millions and millions of dollars to somebody that stands to look at something for 15 minutes and walks away with millions of dollars, that money's coming back in some form.
Nancy Pelosi. Pam Bondi, a big presser as well last night.
President Trump has directed this to stop. And if you don't comply with federal law, we will hold you accountable. We did it to Illinois. Strike one. Strike two is New York. And if you are a state not complying with federal law, you're next. Get ready.
Or a city. Hello, Mike Johnston. DPS is seeking a temporary restraining order to stop the Department of Homeland Security from revoking sensitive location status for schools.
You're not going to find these criminals, these gang leaders and these rapists that we hear, that is the target, sitting crisscross applesauce on the colorful rug.
Man, I know he was thinking about that one the night before. That was a good one, right? Let's see.
Well, let's talk
throw
about
in Barney.
How they're doing living up to their grades in Denver public schools,
How
because
are they?
it's not good. Here's U.S. News and World Report.
Okay.
They found that test score proficiency, mathematics, and reading, elementary, 27% of kids in Denver public schools are at
27.
Math proficiency in elementary school, 27% in high school, 22% in middle school, reading 34% elementary, 34% reading, 46% high school are at testing at their grade level and being proficient. So maybe Denver public schools has some other things to worry about. I don't know.
You think? I'm not sure. I don't know. By the way, that was Alex Marrero, the DPS superintendent. Great point, Jeff.
It doesn't seem like the kids are sitting crisscross applesauce either.
No, it doesn't. No, great point. All right, let's hear from Steffan. Steffan was on this morning with the guys a couple hours ago. Steffan Tubbs, now with DEA Rocky Mountain Division, says that they have arrested over 90 in drug raids the last 2 weeks. And so the guys like me can understand all of this. He said, let's imagine Billy as TDA. This is great. Pushing drugs and breaking the law. Here's what's happening.
We have the ability now, and we've had that ability to work with ICE. Certainly, they've been partners. But now we can turn this individual, Billy, over to ICE, avoid all of the costs to the taxpayer, and guess what? Billy's here illegally. He has committed a crime under the laws on the books, and Billy then faces deportation. And guys, that's what we're going to be seeing with a lot of the 90-plus arrests the last 2.5 weeks.
That's great. Great job by the DEA. And thanks to Steffan for being on. And I think we have some memes, I believe, right, Billy? Or Jeff's putting them up there. Okay.
Oh, they're up there. Yep. You can see.
I haven't seen them yet.
You can see Billy as a member of TDA, and it is brilliant.
It is spectacular. I
added a few pounds to Billy there, but yeah.
It was nice. The thing I'm jealous at is I've got a much better head of hair as a gang member.
Nice.
Much better.
He's got an intimidating look.
Oh, yeah. I look tough. I got
a lot of
cerveza
cerveza drinking in that image, I think.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I have lived a good
beautiful.
life. It is nice.
Do you have muscles in them? Or
a little bit.
Yeah,
You know,
they're
it's kind of the thing
buried.
that I'm on the I'm on the tail end. I've obviously done well enough inside the gang that I've got high enough in the rankings that I'm not down there doing the dirty wet work. You know, so it's kind of nice. I appreciate that.
I love
It's kind of
it.
nice.
The look on his face
Can't wait
is
to check it
amazing.
out.
Go to x.com.
That is the thing that's the
/
best. The
Jeff
look on
Hunt.
my face is the one that is the best. That sells the entire picture.
It's up
Yes.
on X, Rumble,
Yeah, you
YouTube
gotta
right
check
now.
it out. You have to.
Okay.
Yeah, search for Jeff's profile. Check it
All
out.
right, I got to do it. After I get this work done this morning, I'm going to enjoy. That's awesome. California Bozo Representative Robert Garcia says Elon is a DICK. He said the word on CNN.
And I think that he's also harming the American public in an enormous way. And what I think is really important, and what the American public want, is for us to bring actual weapons to this bar fight. This is an actual fight for
He said bring actual weapons. Was the FBI at his doorstep? I doubt it. Doubt it very highly. All right, the Nuggets take on the Hornets tonight after beating the Blazers. And this dude is a genius, man. We're what, 4 days after the Super Bowl. He's an Eagles fan. Billy Soul.
Kansas City is a dynasty no more because of what happened on Sunday. Patrick Mahomes, he hasn't seen this before. In the pocket, he looks so uncomfortable. And every time you turn around, another sack. You
That is so good.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Dude, this dude is so good. It is so good. I got to play it again next hour. Four in Parker, 3 in Brighton, 5 in Denver, And Jeff and Billy continue.
Oh, the Eagles took belt to ass. And that's what it's all about. Couldn't run from the Chiefs, but you just got blown out.
Oh, man. I love it.
That is so good. Will you text that to me? I'll put it up on our X account.
Yes, it is so good, man. And the Dems are going to take belt to ass today. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Chinook winds will return to the Front Range, allowing temperatures to moderate. We're going to go all the way to the 30s and low 40s today. We could eclipse 50 tomorrow as Chinook winds will warm us up. Lows will be teens and 20s tonight. Friday night could see a snow shower late as a front approaches, lows 20s. Colder weather returns for the weekend. Low 30s Saturday and Saturday night, a chance for a little bit of light snow. Highs upper 30s Sunday, could trend colder again next week. I'm meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, Governor Polis, Michael Bennett, and John Hickenlooper reporting that $570 million in federal funding remains inaccessible to Colorado following Trump's freeze. All right, so what are we spending the money on? Is it worth spending this money? This is what I want to talk about this hour. Okay, these cuts have been made. Is it really important to go back there and get this money back for the state of Colorado? Or, thank God, is Donald Trump finally bringing some sanity to this ridiculous spending? Here we go. $70 million for the Home Energy Efficiency Rebate Program. That stems from the Inflation Reduction Act. $25.5 million in grid resilience formula funding from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. $70 million for the Home Electrification and Application Rebate Program. $50 million for the Weatherization Assistance Program. $44.5 million for electric vehicle infrastructure. The two largest grants are $156 million for the Solar for All program to help low-income and disadvantaged communities access solar energy, and $129 million for the Climate Pollution Reduction Implementation Grant to cut greenhouse gas emissions and boost clean energy transition. That's it. That's the $570 million that Hickenlooper, Bennett, and Polis are demanding be unfreezed so that we can pay. I can't see a single thing in there, Bill, that I think is worth spending money on.
Really? None of that?
Not from the government's perspective.
No. Why not? I mean, you don't think
Solar for All program.
Yeah, dude.
The Solar for All.
Yeah,
program.
But the issue being that so people that should be allowed and have the ability to convert their homes to solar and possibly lower their bills only are the rich people. The poorest can't have that. Is that what we're saying?
I think natural gas is a fine way
No. But the issue is, but this would lower their heating bills.
No, other people should not pay for that.
No, but so only rich people can have that.
If they want it themselves, yeah.
Okay, so that's
Solar
interesting.
for All program.
Interesting.
Yeah, no,
but
I
the
do
idea
not
is,
think that
and
we
the
should be taking money from other people so that poor people can have solar.
Well, the issue is that, but the issue, the core of that is that it lowers the bills that they have inside their house. And that's why the funding is there. So the issue being that it would be a program to allow the people of the lower economic strata to actually have more money in their pocket and possibly get ahead. You talk all the time about the idea that we have restrictions between people being able to elevate themselves from different economic classes. This would be a vehicle that could help that. I understand
but it's
not liking
not the government's
energy.
job to take other people's money in order to achieve that.
Whose money do we get to take?
Nobody's. I don't want taxes. Look, there's
So it's
plenty.
just-
It's
so it's
plenty
just-
of bleeding heart.
Okay.
Look, we
So
could
it's
just
just for rich
spread it
people.
around.
Okay.
It'll help people. All that stuff. No,
Okay.
it is not the role of the federal government to take money from one group of people to be able to build solar cells so another group of people can have lower amount of money. That's redistribution of wealth.
Yeah.
That's socialism. That's terrible.
No, that's not necessarily particularly socialism. It is redistribution of wealth, but a lot of countries have that type of aggressive tax system. But okay, that's fine. You don't like the idea of the climate pollution reduction stuff.
Not for not with taxpayer dollars.
So who's going to pay? How do we clean up the air here in Colorado? Well, what would you suggest at this point? I just don't know what the policies are, because it would have to be things that would be help to the government, because I doubt that you're going to find many private businesses will want to invest that money, since it takes away money from the bottom line. So what would we do? Because we have bad air here in Colorado.
We do.
And so the idea is we just get gas masks?
No. The idea is that the government doesn't have to take money again from other people in order to implement these little rules and programs like electric vehicle infrastructure, right? If this is such a great idea and it's going to make everybody's life better and everything's going to be great and the skies will be blue and there'll be less promotion, then the people of Colorado can build it and buy those electric vehicles if they want. I'm tired of the government mandates. I'm tired of the government redistribution. I'm tired of the inefficiency in these programs. Okay. This is just the latest $570 million. How many millions of dollars have we already spent? And do we have this great electric vehicle infrastructure? No, you heard the stories about all the money that was spent and just the few amount of electric charging stations that were built. The government cannot build this. The free market needs to do it
itself. We have the explanation on why the money hasn't all been spent yet. The money hasn't been allocated yet. It's based on local requests.
Give it back to the people.
It's based on
the
local
free
requests.
Market. If it's so good, Bill, the free market can do it itself.
Yeah, so they should build roads, right, too, and bridges.
I love E470.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's great to pay for it all the time. So we should pay. So to drive
it's
to
the best.
So for you to drive
to,
you think for you to drive to work, you should be charged tolls on all the
but
roads.
I'm not totally opposed to it. But this here, Bill, there's not a lot in here that's basic infrastructure. Let's go through it again. Home energy efficiency rebate program. Somehow, in our brilliance as the government, we needed to tax the American people to the tune of $70 million so that there can be a home energy efficiency rebate program. Then we taxed the American people to the tune of $25.5 million for grid resilience formula funding. Then we taxed the American people to the tune of $70 million for home electrification and application rebate program. Then we taxed the American people to the tune of $50 million for weatherization assistance program. Then we taxed the American people to the tune of $44.5 million for electric vehicle infrastructure. Then we taxed the American people to the tune of $156 million for the Solar for All program. Then we taxed the American people to the tune of $129 million for the Climate Pollution Reduction Implementation Grant. There's always this bleeding heart perspective that this money is going to go and solve all of our problems. This has continued. We've already spent a lot of millions of dollars on it. We're continuing to spend more and more of the American taxpayers' dollars for these progressive, vague, environmental special interest programs that I don't think actually solve anyone's problems.
They don't seem to be too vague.
The home electrification and application rebate program, that's like as vague as it gets.
No, that would be things like, bringing in electrical efficiencies and EV and, lower use things into your house.
Who?
Yeah. Into your homes.
How?
In your house.
Where? Who got that?
When you get a high efficiency washer, dryer, dishwasher, refrigerator, that's where that money comes from.
Why the hell does the American taxpayer need to pay for that?
Okay, fine. The thing for me is that if you want them to use less electricity and for it to be more efficient, this is an incentive. That's all it is.
It seems like the thing, if it uses less electricity, there's probably already an incentive, right? Isn't that it? Let's go to the phone lines. We got there lighting up here. We'll start with Kevin in Lakewood. Good morning, Kevin. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show. Proud that millions of your tax dollars are going to the Climate Pollution Reduction Implementation Grant.
I'm not sure exactly what that one means, but I do have a question for Mr. William. I live in an apartment. My wife and I live comfortably within our means. We cannot afford to buy a house. We cannot afford to buy a new car. Convince me why it is in my best interest to take my tax dollars and give it to people who can afford new houses and put solar panels on them, who can afford new electric cars. Why am I giving them tax breaks? Who can put an electric charging station in at their home that they own? Why is it in my best interest to take my money and give it to the wealthy?
I don't think necessarily that you're giving the money to the wealthy at that point, but let's just say that the landlord at your apartment complex decides to put solar panels on the roof. And part of it is from that Solar for All program. They get the subsidies. Again, we're just hypothesizing here, and that could lower you the total cost and bills that you have inside of that home. And possibly the EV infrastructure and some of the EV rebates could also make an electric vehicle more affordable for you and your family. Especially, we're not talking about going out and buying a Tesla or the large Rivians, but something like a Nissan Leaf. Leafs are fairly affordable right now, and with some subsidies and EV infrastructure could help.
What's the cost of a new Nissan Leaf?
Nissan Leaf used is probably going to run somewhere around $20,000, I think.
Okay, I can't afford it. What is the medium cost of a house in the Denver market?
Don't know, but I'm not defending housing costs in Denver.
And it's much higher than the median income required to buy that house.
Yeah.
You're talking about my apartment complex. Why should I pay my tax money? Okay, my apartment complex is owned by a real estate investment trust. Why should I put more profit in the pocket of an REIT?
But wouldn't, if they put the solar panels on top of your building, it could potentially lower your bills, which would allow you to possibly put some money away and would allow you to save money to get you into that house. The same thing with the EV. That is a possibility. That's it. Just like the grid resilience programs, the $25 million that Jeff outlined, that would be things to make sure that during the middle of cold snaps or storms, that your power doesn't go out. That would seem to be okay. I don't know. Maybe not. But I understand that. And the other idea is the Climate Pollution and Reduction Act. Pretty sure that you and people involved in your family go outside and breathe air. That would be stuff that would incentivize and help.
Have you read the Climate Pollution Reduction Act? Have you read it?
I'm just looking at what it says. I don't know.
Okay, no. You're assuming that that it does.
Yes, I said it's. Yeah, I said it's hypothetical.
Assumption.
Yes, I said it's hypothetical.
Yeah.
But do you know what it does?
You're defending hypotheticals? No, I have no idea. Do you know what the Inflation Reduction Act did?
Yeah.
It increased inflation.
No, not necessarily.
Therefore, we assume. We assume that if we reduce pollution, we're going to increase pollution. Billy, you haven't convinced me, and you can't convince.
That's fine. I'm not going to convince you. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, Kevin. I'm not going to convince you. I'm not going to convince you on anything. There's not a single thing that could come out of my face right now that would convince you of this. You've made up your mind. There's not a single thing I could say.
You've made up yours.
Yeah, exactly. So we're at an impasse.
Kevin,
okay, have a good day, Kevin.
Now
Kevin's gone.
We're
at impasse.
Kevin.
I'm sorry, we're at impasse.
There's
nothing else we can do.
Well,
There's
Kevin,
nothing else we can do.
Kevin, I sure appreciate your call.
The conversation came to an end. There's nothing he's going to do to change my mind at this point, and there's nothing I can do to him, and we're dealing with hypotheticals. That's fine. But I understand the idea. And just like he was reinforcing the fact that, yes, the rich should only be the ones to pay for it. That's what he was mad about. He was like, only the rich should be the ones that can afford this. Only the rich should be the ones that can afford a house. Only the rich should be the ones that can afford a car. Only the rich should be the ones that should put solar panels on their houses. Only the rich should be the ones that would have energy efficient homes. Only for the rich.
Do you think we
That's
should
what Kevin
have
was saying.
Subsidies so that people can buy homes?
Depends on how and what they do. It depends on what it is.
Tell me.
First-time buyers, I can see an incentive program for that, absolutely. Especially in the current conversation.
In your worldview, it's okay to take money from some people to give it to others so they can buy a house.
Yes. Yeah, it is okay. Yes. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
No, I totally disagree with that. Let's go to the phone lines. I mean, that's just wealth redistribution.
Yeah,
at the point of a gun. All right, let's go to Jim, Denver. Good morning, Jim. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Hey, good morning, guys. So are we to believe that the free market should take care of virtually everything except for national defense?
Yeah, I'm a fan of enumerated powers under the Constitution. So the government should only do very limited things. And redistribution for the Solar for All program is not one of them.
Okay, so free market should take care of any solar needs if we were to have them in this country. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So should the people then be taxed for the bankruptcy protection courts? So when the solar companies that make bad decisions, or when the government shuts off the money supply, should the people be taxed for bankruptcy courts, or should we let that go by the wayside? Do we need bankruptcy protection courts for businesses, for free markets?
That's a good question. I don't know. What
And
do you
I-
think, Jim?
I think, I think it's a good question. Should the bankruptcy protection courts be used for solar? Probably not. Should the bankruptcy protection courts be used for casinos that go bankrupt? What do you think?
Oh, no. Yeah, see, yeah,
Absolutely
that's a good,
not.
Yeah,
See,
that's a good
I
question.
agree on
That's a
both
good
of those.
question.
We agree, and I'm
Yeah.
not being silly here, but we agree. But at some point, free markets have to have government protection, and in particular, free markets also have to have government money creation, and that government money's got to flow from the printing press to the businesses. How should that occur?
Like in trucks?
Should
I'm not sure.
Should it not
Yeah,
occur?
yeah, help me
Should
understand.
it not
Jim.
occur? I mean, is money real, or is it a figment of our imagination? Does the government print it, or does it just come out of the sky? Or does Jesus have money
Go back to
creation?
the
I mean,
gold standard.
how's it go?
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
yeah.
so we have to have a miner. So how many industries in this great country of ours would be gone because we don't have someone out there mining gold for us and handing it to us? Sounds like we're going to need a hell of a lot of young foreign workers if we're going to go back to the gold standard, because if you want to have a business, you got to
The
go
other thing I would throw in
pick some
there
gold out
are
of the
the other
ground.
thing I would throw in there are U.S. agriculture subsidies, because that would be taking from some to give to others. So the subsidies in Jeff's world
I'm
would
not
have
a
to go
fan,
away.
Not a fan of those subsidies either.
Okay,
Well,
that would end a lot of
people
family
wanna eat,
farms.
then they have to go dig up some gold first if they want to eat. You know, I think what you're doing is you're forcing people to think along the lines of communism and Marxism, because those people were afraid they couldn't eat, and they thought maybe the government should help them to eat. So, you know, what the hell? Let's go either mine gold and starve to death, and everything else, you know. Why do we have 13 billionaires on the president's cabinet right now? Is this a free market guy?
No, I don't think he's a free market
I'm just
guy.
curious.
I do.
No.
I mean,
I think so. I think they have
so.
a great success in bringing that to the
No,
government.
and he's not. I don't
great
think he's not a free
success.
market guy because of Elon. Elon's not a free market guy.
Casino bankruptcies. We already determined that those are a no-go for both of us, and we're both conservatives right here, right?
Yeah.
But now we like the casino bankruptcies. I dislike them.
No, I
don't think
I
the
dislike
government
them
should
too.
tax people
Right.
for bankruptcies of some useless gambling, which is gambling's a sin, right?
Yeah.
Should we have government protection for adulterers?
Yeah.
Only if they're president.
Yeah. Jim, appreciate the call. Thanks so much. I'm trying to figure out where Jim was going there.
Well,
All right.
I think he's asking just the idea of, how far does this bootstrappiness occur? Where's
Yeah,
that
right,
line?
right.
Because if the idea is that you don't want to have any redistribution of wealth, then you've got
Yes.
to really kind of look at the idea of the U.S. agriculture subsidies.
Sure.
You've
And
got
you
to
can say,
look
I
at
don't like
gas
those.
subsidies.
I don't like
You've got to
the
look at oil
casino
and
stuff.
gas subsidies. You've got to look at a whole bunch of things that are out there that receive government subsidies.
But if the argument is, look, other things get government subsidies, what about, therefore, we should allow the Solar for All program to help low income and disadvantaged communities access solar energy? I don't see that as a fair argument. I mean, it's just kind of like, well, other things get subsidies, ergo, everything should get subsidies. There was $156 million of taxpayer dollars allocated from the federal government to Colorado for the Solar for All program. I think you can say that is wasteful and not have to say every single
What if
subsidy
that's-
ever.
What if that's solar for all, even though something your neighborhood puts it on a bill because there isn't as much energy needed to generate and it's fed back into the grid? Your energy costs can go down based on your neighbors having solar in
I
the
don't
area.
see anybody's energy costs going down in the state of Colorado right now. Let's go to Gary. Where are we on time? Let's go to Gary, Denver. Good morning, Gary. You're on the Jeff and Bill show.
Trump said the energy costs would go down by 50%. He promised.
Oil and gas. Go ahead, Gary, Denver. Good morning.
Oh, hi, Jeff. I love what they're doing. I love what Trump's and the billionaire dude is doing, and the way they're looking at things. And finally, his press secretary is constantly saying, we're identifying all this fraud, waste, and abuse. And I think, and it was identified yesterday by one of the reporters, it's really not any of those three things. What they're identifying, the large amounts that they're identifying, aren't fraud, waste, or abuse. It's just spending that doesn't align with Trump's policies and his views as to what the role of government is. It's really not fraud. It's really not waste. It's really not abuse. It's just that, and I think he should be able to say, I'm not funding DEI. I'm not funding climate initiatives. So I think it's just a matter of verbiage. I like what they're doing.
I got a question for you, Gary, on that. The idea that the president's saying, no, we can't fund this. Just basic constitutional principles. Who controls the power of the purse? We were all taught this in grade school.
That's a great question, and here's my answer. We're under a CR right now until March 14th.
Yeah.
And Congress has funded agencies, and I think that's fine. They control the purse. They fund agencies. But within the agency, decisions need to be made by bureaucrats as to, how they're going to spend those dollars. Congress doesn't micromanage like that. And I think that's where the president has every right to go in there and say, the way you're divvying this up and what you're funding, I don't agree with. I'm going to pull that funding. Now, I don't think the president can eliminate an agency, but what he can do is reduce the funding and just keep a couple of token employees there so that they're not eliminating the agencies, but they're eliminating the spending that doesn't align with his policy.
But doesn't that necessarily create a unitary executive? And I'll use another name for it, a king. Because if the Congress is allowed to allocate the money, why would you then allow the executive to not spend it? And I agree with you, the executive branch is not allowed to dissolve entire agencies like USAID, education department, stuff like that they're trying to do. And so they can't do that, but Congress is abdicating its responsibility. They're not pushing back, so they're giving this power to the executive. However, if this money is allocated by Congress, does the executive have the ability, in your opinion, to just not spend it or just say, no, I'm not going to do that and ignore it? What's your opinion on that?
Let me ask you this, Billy. Is the agency required to spend every dollar that's been allocated to them?
In many cases, yes, because then their funding is reduced the next year, which I think is a horrible idea. I think the idea of not encouraging these departments and government agencies to be economically efficient is why we're in this problem.
But
let me finish for a second.
The question from Gary is whether or not they are mandated by law to spend everything.
Yeah, I think when they're I'm not certain exactly, but there are some policies and procedures that do outline that you lose funding if you don't spend the funding. So they are basically guided to spend the funding, to spend the money.
Yeah, they're incentivized, and that's like, order $1 million worth of supplies so that we spend our dollars. That's just wasteful. And I don't think that's by law. I think by law, they spend what they think is appropriate to spend. And that's why I believe Trump has presidential power to say, I don't believe you should be funding, what you were just talking about, that Hickenlooper wants unfrozen. I think the president should have that power.
And I got a question for you. Gary, I got a question for you. Why do we need Congress then?
Because they need to fund the agencies in alignment with the president's budget.
But if the president can decide that what should and shouldn't be funded, why do they even need? Why do you need Congress to even make that? Why can't the president decide what needs to be funded based on his own policy positions and priorities? Why do we even need Congress in that example? Aren't they just making themselves moot?
I think we're in a unique situation now because there's been there's a transition going on from one point of view, one president to another president. So it wouldn't be every year that we'd run into this problem. It's just during the transition, which is, by the way, a setup for next year's budget. They're likely, the president is likely, and Congress, because they're all Republicans, are likely to zero out all of the spending that Trump and his team, his Doge team, is identifying.
Well, and Gary, we've only passed 4 budgets in the last 4 decades, I think is what Greg Lopez told us. They've all been these omnibus spending packages. So if Congress really wants line item budget and to tell the president, the executive, exactly where they want to spend, then they can do it. They haven't done it. And this, I think, is a good example of how we need to return the power. Even if you're a progressive or conservative, you probably agree with me. Get the power back into the hands of Congress. That's the people. If they want to control the spending and have those debates, they can. Sending just lump cash amounts of money to these agencies. Sorry, you made the bed. You can sleep in it. All right, we'll continue. Gary, great call. Sure appreciate it. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Jared Polis, Michael Bennett, John Hickenlooper sending a strongly worded letter to the Trump administration saying that $500 million worth of federal funding for Colorado is in limbo and we need it released. So what is this money going to? Well, the two bigger ones, $156 million for the Solar for All program to help low-income and disadvantaged communities with access to solar energy, and $129 million for the Climate Pollution Reduction Implementation Grant to cut greenhouse gas emissions and boost the clean energy transition. My perspective, this is a total waste of money. Thank God Trump stepped in to freeze this. Taxpayers shouldn't be spending it. Good text message here from Jason in Denver. Be careful what you wish for. Nothing would prevent Colorado from paying for all these programs. As a Colorado state taxpayer, I'd prefer to have the $500 million split by 350 million people around the country rather than the 5.8 million Colorado taxpayers. Interesting. 5486 texting, you're the carbon being taxed.
Yeah, it's a great line. I like that line. It's a good point.
So where do you fall along these lines? Is this really important to our state? It provides jobs. It provides the transition to clean energy that we need. And the fact that Donald Trump's holding this all up is just harming our state. Or, as you see it from my perspective, this is just wealth redistribution. Federal government at the tip of a gun forcing you to pay your taxes so that the Solar for All program can help low-income and disadvantaged communities across access solar energy. This isn't the role of the federal government. We shouldn't be taxing and spending money to do this. It's picking and choosing industries. It's meddling with the free market. It's wealth redistribution. I can go on and on and on, but it shouldn't be done. Give us a call. Phone lines are open. 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Look, if the last couple of years have taught us one thing, it's to value the things that we can control, and addressing hair loss is no exception. Our friends at Advanced Hair Restoration can reverse years, even decades of hair loss with their simple one-day treatment. Your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day, and your new hair is backed by the Advanced Hair Guarantee. It works for bald spots, receding hairlines, thinning hair, men, women, younger, wiser. Advanced Hair can address many different patterns of hair loss. Advanced Hair's top-rated physicians like Dr. Tanya Pauls have changed tens of thousands of people's lives, and now it's your turn. Schedule your free consultation by calling 720-459-HAIR. And to celebrate the new year, get special financing, 250 free hair grafts, and $250 off. Value the things you can control and start regrowing your own natural hair today. The phone number, 720-459-HAIR. Become inspired with before and after pictures at advancedhair.com. Saw a great video the other day from Advanced Hair Restoration talking about all the major celebrities that had thinning hair and then got hair work done, and they look great. Guys like Matthew McConaughey, guys like Ben Affleck. This is nothing to be ashamed of, guys. Why not get the treatment so you look younger, feel younger? It'll change all your relationships. Here's the phone number again, 720-459-HAIR, or visit advancedhair.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. This is News Talk 710 KNUS. We are discussing the $570 million that has been frozen by the Trump administration that was earmarked for Colorado for some programs that, well, Jeff doesn't agree with. I agree with some of them. Don't know enough about all of them to say it universally, but we want to find out what you think. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. Is this a good use of our tax dollars, or is this just wealth redistribution? And we should have nothing to do with it. We're going to go to the phones right now. Mark in Denver. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Oh, great.
What's on your mind, man?
Yeah, the 156 million for about 5-point-something million residents in Colorado. That's about 25 to 30 bucks a piece for solar for all, and that might just be one bureaucrat man hour, and the money goes to a bureaucrat somewhere, and you never see anything.
Now, Mark, one of the things I want to explore with you for a second, understand the idea that if we divided it per person here in Colorado, it's very, very little money. That's why I understand the big number of 156 million looks big, but when you cut it down to individuals, it ends up being a small check. What is your opinion about the idea of solar? And right now, I'm of the opinion that it's too expensive. I think that it's too expensive in order to install, but I think it does have some benefit. And because of that, I am willing to have some subsidies to encourage some homeowners in order to, or even businesses, in order to install solar panels, because I think it can benefit all of us in the long run. I'm not talking about greeny energy stuff and climate change. I'm just talking about lowering our bills, because if you can feed energy back into the grid, it's less energy they have to produce, and in theory, they should charge us less. But what is your feeling about it? What do you think?
Well, my feeling is you have all these salesmen that are going around from door to door to door, and they need their cut of that money. And then you got however much the raw materials cost, they need their cut of that money. And then you need the installer labor on it. And it seems like the costs on that get exaggerated just tremendously before you're actually getting a product. If you get solar panels from somebody, there's 2/3 of, I look at it as probably it's divided up into three. And that salesman, he doesn't do any installing. He doesn't even do any purchasing. He just gets you to sign a contract, and he sells paper. So he may even be taking more than his third.
Oh, Mark, I'll stop you there just for a second, because I think you've made a really good argument, and something that I think that Kevin and I came to kind of an impasse in conversation earlier. And I think you've made a really good argument kind of in his favor. And what I'm saying is that the subsidies, if we look at them, are possibly being absorbed into the cost. And what I mean by that is when we saw more federal funding and grants for loans for colleges, the cost of college exploded. So we can't always assume that some of these subsidies on the Solar for All program that we're speaking at specifically right now won't then lead to a rank increase in the service, in the cost of materials. If they know the subsidy is going to cover, let's say, $3,000 of the materials, the solar company then is incentivized to raise their cost by $3,000. That's a great point, man.
Yep.
And if it covers $3,000, that's 1,000 people's share of that money too.
Dude, Mark, you made me think a lot, man. Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
And as far as you haven't seen the waste, that's actual waste, the 150-year-old that was getting Social Security, that's your fraud and waste there.
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that. I have heard that, but we also heard Elon talk about $50 million in condoms to Gaza, and he was wrong about that. I just want to see that. I'm not saying it didn't exist. I can see it existing, but I want to see that kind of fraud. Mark, man, thanks, man. I really appreciate the phone call. I want you to call more often. That made me think. I appreciate that a lot. That was a fantastic call. Nicely done. I think Kevin likes you too better, because you got to put me in my place on that one. Nicely done. I like that, man. Thank you. He's made some good points.
Billy in his place. Speaking of that,
we're not going to talk about that.
Billy's place is now with TDA, at least according to AI.
Yeah. You got to check this out.
If you want to see Bill,
you've got to go
as
see
a
this.
gang member in a Venezuelan gang. That's on x.com/Jeff Hunt. All right, coming up next, we're going to dive into some great things happening in the city of Littleton. That's where I'm going to be tomorrow night for Valentine's Day.
Hey,
I like the city of Littleton. This will be fun. So we're going to talk with the events and marketing manager for the city of Littleton. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
advice. If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call up somebody else. Call up for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest-growing conservative TV network. Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere, delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinions on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Zumo Play.
Marhab, the Lord is love. Father Andre Mahana, Hope and Mercy. Join me for Sunday morning with Father Andre every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. You'll hear interviews with public figures, policymakers, experts in religious liberty and Judeo-Christian values. You can help bring hope and freedom across the globe. It is to strengthen your own faith, your family, and community. Come and have a good Sunday morning with me, Father Andre, at 9:30 a.m. every Sunday, right here on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Salem.
Views and opinions expressed by the host and guests of our program may not reflect those of this station or Salem Media, its management, sponsors, affiliates, or employees. Portions of the following program are pre-recorded.
KNUS Denver. Together, they're like oil and vinegar. But you smile to make it pretty tasty.
I need a salad without using my mouth.
It is 9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, February 13th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations, you just woke up in the greatest country in history. We're off and running. We got a whole hour planned for you of engaging conversations, critical analysis, but most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. Let's grab a cup of coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up in just a few minutes, Senior Manager of Events and Marketing for the city of Littleton is going to be joining us because there are some fun, exciting things happening in Littleton. In fact, tomorrow night I'll be there because Mrs. Jeff, Nicole, her very favorite restaurant.
What is it? What is it?
It's the Melting Pot.
Oh,
and it's Valentine's Day, and it's such a cool restaurant.
And the one in Littleton, that's my favorite one.
It's an old jail.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
It's a haunted jail.
There's so much atmosphere in that one. And Melting Pot is fantastic. We need to get them as an advertiser. Talk to them when you're there.
That would be great.
Talk to them while you're there, because you and I need so we can go.
Fondue. The reason my wife really likes is the food's good, of course, but she gets me focused for like 2.5 hours, 3 hours on a fondue, because you got to cook cheese and chocolate and meat and all that stuff. It takes a while.
Okay, one of the times that my lovely and talented wife and I were there at the Melting Pot. Okay, I've got to share a story real quickly. We're going to indulge just for a second. We're at the Melting Pot having a special, parents' night out. The first course, the first little appetizer thing arrives. As soon as it hits the table and the server walks away, her cell phone rings. And it's our kids, and they're on speaker because they're all there. And they're like, first, everything's okay and nobody's hurt. Like, wait, hang on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And seriously interrupting our dinner right now.
Yes. And the thing is, they were trying to do nice things. The minivan that we had at the time was out in the driveway, and there was supposed to be hail coming. They didn't want the hail to hit the driveway. So they tried to get the van into the garage. Emphasis on try. Somehow, at one point, my oldest, who was just a new driver at the time, managed to get his car that was parked on the other side of the driveway perpendicular and wedged, literally perpendicular between the side of the van and the tree. There were about 2 inches of space on either side. I still, to this day, have no idea how he managed that, but it was something spectacular. Then when they moved the van into the garage, they put it on the wrong side because we have a taller car and a shorter car. On the side where the shorter car is, and my wife and I were out in the shorter car. That's where all the bicycles are hanging. We got 6 people in our house. So they pull it in far enough. One of the bikes drops and goes right through the front windshield. And not a little, like through the front windshield. And that is,
oh man.
And that's the phone call that we got at the appetizer. Yeah, that was an interesting 2-hour call.
What did you do? Did you just go, we'll deal with it when we get home,
we went,
and then it ruins the rest of your dinner?
We kind of went
just sitting on you.
Yeah, we just sat there and we're like, what are we gonna do? We sat there, but again, my wife has dealt with me enough and understands that when I do something, when stuff breaks, I don't go little. I mean, it is just boom, everything goes bad. So this is not that unusual in our household. So the fact that that went bad, we were like, okay, we'll have dinner. We'll deal with this when we get home. Yeah, that was basically it. But yeah, at the appetizer when it arrives, okay, we're all okay. Nobody's hurt. And then you're like, wait, hang on. Yeah, it was an interesting conversation. I hope you don't have that phone call when you're at the melting pot.
No, we would ignore it too.
Good job.
Like, well, that'll be there when we get back to it. Back to the fondue. All right. So joining us to give us some insights on all this is going to be Alexandra Vander, Senior Manager of Events and Marketing for the city of Littleton. But first, Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Thanks a lot, Jeff and Billy. 12 degrees and clear in Denver. Expecting a high of 37 with sunshine today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
Oh, the Eagles took belt to ass, and that's what it's all about. Good run from the Chiefs, but you just got blown out.
The Eagles took belt to the backside of the Chiefs on Sunday, and today the Patriots are going to take belt to the backside of leftist communist criminals and expose all the fraud and corruption. DJT just posted, why was political paid millions of dollars for nothing? Buying the press, pay back the money to the taxpayers. 47 says, give it back. They used our money. It is everywhere.
We have a massive bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. We have buildings that are all over the city. Department of Education. I never said Department of Education's on all these buildings. By the way, nobody shows up to work because they're all working at home. You know, quote, working at home. They're not working at home. And a lot of them have second jobs. And that's the other thing that Elon Musk is looking at. How many of these people are getting checks, working at home, but they're not working because they have second jobs and even third jobs? You're going to find a lot of them. And those people are going to be fired because we have to make our government smaller.
DJT appreciates Elon's work.
But I want to commend Elon because he's done he doesn't need this. You know, he's abused by you people every day. He's found more things than anybody could find. I think he's got the credibility to do it. I know he does. And it's his group of people. You know, they started off with 12. I call them 12 geniuses. They started off with 12 and they went to 20 and 25. And now they're up to almost 100. People are joining to help them because there's a massive fraud that's taken place.
Oh, and Maxine Waters, she loves Elon.
People of this country are being violated because all of our privacy is being taken up by Elon Musk and Trump, and we don't know what all they have on us. We don't know what all they have on us.
Yeah. All right, Pam Bondi's, she's not playing either. Corruptocrats and commies, look out.
We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the mom standing right behind me, who you're going to hear from in a moment. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today.
Hello, City of Denver. And speaking of ICE, Steffan Tubbs from the DEA Rocky Mountain Division says they've arrested over 90 criminals and drug busts the past 2 weeks. Hey, let's just imagine a guy named Billy Thorpe was a TDA gang member.
We have the ability now, and we've had that ability to work with ICE. Certainly, they've been partners. But now we can turn this individual Billy over to ICE, avoid all of the cost to the taxpayer, and guess what? Billy's here illegally. He has committed a crime under the laws on the books, and Billy then faces deportation. And guys, that's what we're going to be seeing with a lot of the 90-plus arrests the last 2.5 weeks.
Check out Jeff's social media for images. You need to check it out. DPS
The deportation of Bill Thorpe
Oh,
for
my.
TDA.
Oh, so good. So good.
Oh, it is fantastic.
Yes, it is. I love it.
Now, I got to ask this
We are a
question.
melting pot, by the way.
If
I'm
Bill
sorry. the
was in
show.
a gang, what would his role be in the gang? Would he be the enforcer? Would he be the distributor? Would he be the
Good
chief
question.
at the top?
I think he'd be in charge of entertainment.
Yes.
He'd be the DJ in the secret underground
Right.
club.
And the
There we go.
surveillance. Yeah.
Leading bar trivia.
Yeah, I can do that. We can do this. Yeah, I can get down.
He's the DJ.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
I can
Party
do that.
people.
I know my Bad Bunny. You know, I
Yeah,
can do this.
that's
you know,
right.
I can do Los Lonely
Exactly.
Boys. You know, we can go pretty
Oh, I
deep
know
on
you
this. We
have
can
a-
bring in Mr. Worldwide. You know, Pitbull. I can. Yeah, we can flow. Yeah, we can do this.
DPS is seeking a temporary restraining order to stop the Department of Homeland Security from revoking sensitive location status for schools.
You're not going to find these criminals, these gang leaders, and these rapists that we hear that is the target sitting crisscross applesauce on the colorful rug.
How about in the gym or the weight room? That's DPS Superintendent Alex Marrero, who says the recent federal operations in Denver have impacted students and their families. NBA, the Nuggets take on the Hornets tonight after beating the Blazers, and it is 10 in Westminster, 9 in Castle Pines, 12 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. I have to.
Kansas City is a dynasty no more because of what happened on Sunday. Patrick Mahomes, he hasn't seen this before. In the pocket, he looks so uncomfortable. Oh, and every time you turn around, another sack. You ought to know
So good.
by now.
So good.
That is
I'll send
awesome.
it. Oh,
Yeah, please
so
send it to us.
Clever,
Oh,
man.
So good. God, and if I was programming a Philadelphia radio station this week, I would be
Yeah.
playing that once an hour.
Absolutely.
And I would do it plus or minus top 5 minutes in the top of the hour and say, we're going to play this at the top of every hour and then play it up there, depending on where the breaks of the music run. But yeah, make an appointment listening, have them tune in, do a big, promotional thing
Yeah.
beforehand about this. And then you
Absolutely.
play, here's what you want. Yeah. Oh, God,
Doesn't
yeah.
he have to be on a float in the parade tomorrow?
Oh,
I think it's
hell yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of DJs, I don't know if he's playing the music, but he's singing, man.
Yeah, I don't
and-
know. And here's the thing is, I know that, all of us here on the show disagree sometimes about government subsidies and using our tax money. If it takes tax money to get him in the damn parade, okay, I think we're all for it.
Oh, hey,
Just
I'm all
because.
for that.
Yeah,
I'm okay.
We can take some
I'm-
of our
I'm
solar
good.
money here and we can send it to Philadelphia to get him in the damn parade. He needs to be in the parade. I think we can all agree on that one.
I'm good.
Good,
I'm good
good.
with that. Yep, definitely. That's legit. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Chinook winds will return to the Front Range, allowing temperatures to moderate. We're going to go all the way to the 30s and low 40s today. We could eclipse 50 tomorrow as Chinook winds will warm us up. Lows will be teens and 20s tonight. Friday night could see a snow shower late as a front approaches. Lows 20s. Colder weather returns for the weekend. Low 30s Saturday. Saturday and Saturday night, a chance for a little bit of light snow. Highs upper 30s Sunday. Could trend colder again next week. I'm meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Post. I want to tell you about my good friend Dan Kaplis and Dan Kaplis. I've known Dan for well over a decade. This is a great guy. And that matters because who you choose as a lawyer to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. You hire somebody because you saw him go by on a bus billboard, sends the wrong message. Dan Kaplis is the son of a police officer. He's a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is also believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. He's the best. He's the GOAT. Dan is believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Kaplis Law, the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Kaplis Law, a serious firm for serious cases. He accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call at 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dankaplis.law.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S, law.com. I just felt like a cheerleader. Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S.com. All right. We're now going to go to Zoom, where Alexandra Vanderpool is joining us. She's the senior manager of events and marketing for the city of Littleton.
Okay, I tell you what. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to call Alexandria. Oh, hang on a second. Do we have the double
audio?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to call Alexandria on the phone real quickly.
Okay. We'll get her up here in just a second because there's a lot of great activities and events happening with the city of Littleton, which I think is just such a cool little community. I've lived near there for most of my life, and a great place to go visit restaurants and Hudson Gardens and all those great activities. So she's going to be joining us here in just a second. Tomorrow, we're going to get into this breaking story. I've asked Sean Boyd to join us for tomorrow's show about crazy things happening in Jefferson County schools. I've retweeted it. If you haven't heard the story yet, go there and watch. But CBS 4 doing a great story on some wildness happening in Jefferson County schools. All right. Did we get Alexandra? Is she on the line?
Yes, I am.
Right.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you join us. Sorry about the audio issues there, but so much I love about the city of Littleton. My wife and I's favorite restaurant is there. We'll be there tomorrow night for Valentine's Day. We'll be at the Melting Pot there, but gosh, it's so much happening in the city of Littleton. Thanks for taking time to join us.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for allowing me to share a little bit about our really great city.
Not a huge city. It's like Littleton's got that beautiful main street right there with all those shops.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the vibe that Littleton has.
Oh, great vibe. I would say, it's very much like small town charm within a modern thriving city. Like you said, downtown Littleton is oftentimes called, the heart of Littleton, but there's just so much great events and community that's always happening. It's a great blend of residents who have lived there for most, if not all of their lives, but also we have lots of new families and residents who have chosen to make Littleton their home. And, together it makes for a really strong community.
Let's talk about how it stands out a little bit from other cities in the South Metro area.
Yeah, I would say, there's lots of unique and vibrant, just people, events, businesses. It's rare to be able to walk down a downtown area that has that small town vibe on the actual main street that's lined with locally owned boutiques, oftentimes with items and gifts that are made, right within the store or in Littleton, locally owned restaurants. I think, we're pretty special that we have our own museum. The Littleton Museum, if you haven't heard of it, is free. It has permanent exhibits that tell the story of the early pioneers, and they tell that through their living history farms that has chickens, pigs, oxen, sheep, and an actual authentic blacksmith shop and a gallery. So I think that's really cool, and it's free, and it's a great place to go to if you have kids. And there's just a lot of charm, that I've talked about, a lot of history, but it's really finely balanced with just modern and trendy places and events like Aspen Grove, the outdoor mall. And they offer fun, year-round things like goat yoga. If you haven't heard of goat yoga, bazaars, pop-up shops, and so Aspen Grove also brings a lot of that modern feel. The city hosts wonderful summer concerts for free in the park, which I think is really special. I don't know how many cities are able to do that. And so it brings the community together in the summertime for the summer concerts. The Littleton Q program in the city hosts a weekly farmers market every Sunday that starts Memorial Day weekend. And then just a bunch of creative, really cool events, often hosted by local businesses or Littleton enthusiasts too.
We're talking with Alexandra Vanderpool. She's the senior manager of events and marketing for the city of Littleton. All right, so someone who's never been to Littleton before, what are some can't miss attractions, little hidden gems that they may not have heard about before that they should take advantage of?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I highly recommend using visitlittleton.org as that resource to find fun things to do, to find those hidden gems as well. It's become the number one resource for locals and visitors, and we're always, updating it with those things that are happening. Those hidden gems, there's tons. I could probably talk about them for the rest of this call. We mentioned the walking up and down Main Street, starting there, start your trip there, and definitely prepare to be charmed and spend some money. The Littleton Museum we talked about. The Depot Art Gallery, I think, is a really cool, unique hidden gem. It's an old railroad depot that punches above its weight when it comes to showcasing Colorado artists in a variety of media. It's an attractive little building that's just off of Littleton Boulevard. And I want to say, Littleton Boulevard, maybe Powers. It's the perfect place to check out any time of the year. Artists have their products on showcase, and you can purchase them at any time. We also have Hudson Gardens. It's a beautiful place. It's especially beautiful in the summertime. They have really, cool activities year round as well, like the magic of the jack-o'-lanterns in the fall. It's kind of like Halloween themed. It's accessible, it's outdoor, and it has artistic pumpkin carvings, art installations, and blended with lights and music. And then they also do a really cool Hudson Holidays, which is a holiday version of the jack-o'-lanterns, but also very accessible, very magical, and an outdoor experience. And then, throughout the year, they offer different classes and courses to keep people engaged with Hudson Gardens. They offer, chocolate and wine pairing classes, sound bath classes, yoga. So that's a really special place, as well as the Carson Nature Center, which right now is offering tons of outdoor nature walks. You can go bird watching. They have indoor recreation classes. We're also home to places like St. Nick's, which is a nearly year-round Christmas store. So imagine going to a Christmas store in May, June, and July. They are year-round, very special, have been in Littleton for forever. Reinke Brothers, if you haven't heard of them, is a really cool and special place just off of Main Street. I highly recommend popping in there. You're entertained from the moment you walk in, and it's a shop where you can purchase, Halloween costumes and decorations, but it's also has this movie prop feel. You can see actual mold castings of, Alien or from Star Wars. They have a haunted house in the Halloween season too. So lots of really cool, unique places to check out.
St. Nick's is one of my family's favorite places to stop, regardless of the time of the year, because it is that it's like a magical transporter that takes you to the holiday season right around Christmas. And Christmas means a lot in our family for a number of reasons. I've got one of our 4 kids goes absolutely nuts. It's her favorite season of the entire year. And she's just like a kid in a candy store there. You're listening to Alexandra Vanderpool, Senior Manager of Events and Marketing for the City of Littleton, joining Jeff and Bill live. I want to go back. We talked a little bit about the website, the visitlittleton.org. Now, if someone hasn't ever gone and explored the city of Littleton and what it offers, can you tell me just a little bit about the navigation on visitlittleton.org? Let's just assume that we've just arrived here from Montana, Washington, Wisconsin. We're just moving into the area. We're trying to get our feet under her here in Colorado. What can I see on visitlittleton.org? What would you recommend a new family living here as far as navigation? What are the tabs? Where should they be going? What are some of the ideas that visitlittleton.org can give them? Because, the family's got to maybe drive a little bit to get there, but they've got to plan why they want to come to the area. What can I find on visitlittleton.org?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. Well, it is definitely the number one resource for all things to do. It's an accessible website as well. I would say, if you're thinking about coming to Littleton, visit littleton.org, check out events and go to the all events page. This is a hub of all things happening in Littleton. We encourage everyone who's hosting an event within Littleton city limits to use this space to add their event to. And you can see, things coming up this weekend for Valentine's Day. You can see festivals that are coming up. And that, I think would help tailor when you want to come to Littleton if you see an event that you want to go to. I highly recommend going to the food and drink tab and clicking on all food and drink. That, gives you a glimpse of all the restaurants, breweries, cocktail lounges in Littleton that you can check out. There's a little description about each location for each, so you can use that. And there's also a map embedded into each page. So you can just click on the map and then, it'll open up Google Maps and take you to where you can add your address and see the distance from where you are. I recommend checking out things to do. So don't click on things to do, just hover over it and it'll bring up a variety of categories where, you can click on something that you're interested in for you or your family, from everything from like recreation and sports to outdoors to arts and culture. Tons of arts and culture in Littleton. We have our own town hall performing arts center. We have the Littleton Symphony, and both offer nearly year-round performances. So I recommend utilizing those. If you're traveling with your pet, we have a link about pet-friendly options, which we're continuously building out as well.
That is the Senior Manager of Events and Marketing for the City of Littleton, Alexandra Vanderpool. Joining Jeff and Bill live, we're talking about the City of Littleton. That was about navigation on visitlittleton.org. I love the idea of the current events, what's going on right now, because you can kind of tailor what your family is interested in or what you're personally interested in, find stuff that is going on right now. Now, I've heard a rumor about a rewards program. Now, for me and my family, those reward programs are vitally important because it does dictate where we shop and how we spend our money, because we know we can get something back. But normally, that's an individual store that we belong to a rewards program. The City of Littleton has a rewards program. One, how the heck does it work? How do I sign up? And what are my rewards?
Yeah, that's a great question, especially if you're going to someone going to the melting pot tomorrow. I heard you definitely want to download the Open Rewards app before going. Open Rewards is a blessing, really, for businesses and consumers that is supported and funded by the city, which is really cool. So for a consumer, I highly recommend downloading the Open Rewards app. You can go to the visitlittleton.org page and you can click on either shopping or all food and beverages. And from there, we have a link to download the Open Rewards app as well. It's very easy to use. So you can open it up, click on Discovery, and that opens up a search bar at the top. And you can either type in the store or restaurant that you're shopping or dining at to see if they're part of the Open Rewards program. Most are. Type it in, click on it, and then once it pops up, you know that they're part of the program. If they're not in there, you don't know the name of it, I recommend just scrolling through as well, and you can see like what's happening, like which businesses, restaurants around you that might be of interest that you want to support because they're also part of Open Rewards. It's very easy. Once you shop or dine, you click on the business in the app and you click on Claim Rewards. It opens up your phone camera. You take a photo of the receipt, upload it, type in the amount that you spent, hit submit, and give it a couple of days and expect 5% cash back into your account. We offer 5% cash back year round, except for like special holidays. So tomorrow, Valentine's Day, we've increased that promotion to 10% cash back when you shop or dine at participating businesses in Littleton. And like personally, myself, I used it over the holiday season and bought all of my holiday gifts in Littleton, used Open Rewards, took family out to restaurants over the holidays in Littleton, used Open Rewards, and I think I just cashed out almost $80. And it's so easy because when you finally decide, yes, I want my money, there's two options. You can have it directly Venmo'd to you, which I love. Or if you don't have Venmo or don't like that method, you can select check, and they mail you a check within a week and a half or so. So it's really easy for consumers to use. I highly recommend that always being top of mind when shopping or dining.
That seems like a wonderful program, and Alexandra Vanderpool, Senior Manager of Events and Marketing for the City of Littleton. I needed to interrupt because my co-host, Jeff, is frantically scrolling through his phone. He heard, wait, money back for me taking the wife out tomorrow and 10%? That is, his ears like started turning red. He's like, wait. So tell our listeners, how do we navigate? What do we need to search under in order to find the Littleton Rewards, Open Rewards program? What is the name of the app? When I go to our app store, how do we find it? What do we have to do in advance to set it up? And then I've got a question on the back end of that about what the businesses, are they incentivized? And if you don't want to talk about that, we don't. What do they get out of joining the program? But first of all, how in the heck can we get Jeff to save some money tomorrow night when he's taking Mrs. Jeff out for Valentine's Day?
That's not fast food.
Yeah. How do we find this? Help us out.
So open up your app. Well, you can go to your app store directly and type in Open Rewards, and you're looking for the blue icon with white font that says Open Rewards. You can also, again, go to the visitlittleton.org page on shopping under things to do, and you can download it from there as well to your phone or computer.
Jeff is doing that right now. He's frantically typing. I can see his thumbs moving very quickly right now.
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, Alexander Vanderpool, what is the incentives for the businesses to join this? I can see why it makes a ton of sense for someone going down there to dining and shopping inside the city of Littleton. But what do the businesses get out of joining the Open Rewards program? I'm just curious.
Yes, well, it's basically free marketing. It's a great marketing avenue that's funded by the city for businesses to promote their stores and attract new customers. The app and the whole marketing plan behind the app is all about promoting shopping and dining local, supporting local. The businesses need to be locally owned and operated. They have to be a brick and mortar retail business within Littleton city limits. So when I say retail businesses, like boutiques, restaurants, and they can be small, but also like a non-franchise business. Those are sort of the guiding parameters before applying. Folks can apply by going to our city website and typing in Open Rewards into the search bar, and it'll automatically pop up Open Rewards for business owners, and that's where you would click to apply to be part of the program. Businesses can have multiple locations in Colorado, and I think Little Man is a great example of that. Little Man Ice Cream. They have one in Denver, and they recently opened one in Littleton. They're part of Open Rewards. So it's really easy for businesses to get on board and use this as a free marketing tool. We also can, provide marketing materials for the businesses to use, walk them through how to apply, how it works. We can also tie some initiatives back to whatever campaign that they're promoting within their business.
So Littleton, I saw they were opening in Littleton. I'm happy that they're involved in this type of a rewards program, and I love the fact that it is non-franchise, because those franchises have their own rewards program. This is helping out the small businesses, the mom and the pop that have decided to put their skin in the game and give their dream, their idea voice. I think that's a wonderful idea. So far, can you talk to us a little bit? And you're listening to Alexandra Vander, Senior Manager of Events and Marketing for the City of Littleton, here with Jeff and Bill live. Can you talk to us about the impact that Open Rewards has had? And I'm talking about both from the consumer side of things, but also from the business side of things. What have we seen as far as benefits in the City of Littleton from this Open Rewards program?
Yeah, well, I can share some stats. As of today, 80% of users, so that's I would say consumers, reported that Open Rewards influenced their decision to shop local. We have 2,158 users, and we keep adding more each day. I would say this year
2,159 users.
Jeffson, yes.
Yay, thank you. Yeah, and please help us spread the word, because it's cash back. It's so easy just for shopping and supporting local. We have 2,159 users and growing more each day. We see 16 times the return on the investment as a city as well.
See, now, Alexandra Vanderpool, I love the idea that it is that is reinforcing the idea of shop local, because we know, and Jeff was just showing on the screen that he has signed up here on the video screen that we've got, is that it reinforces the idea of making sure you spend the money locally. It's very important to both Jeff and I. Sometimes we do have to visit the large franchises, but it is important for us to support those businesses in our community, because we understand the economic multiplier. The dollars that you spend with a local business, they turn around and they're paying local workers. They're buying their supplies locally. They're paying rent locally. And it has a huge, expansive impact on the community by simply shopping local. It keeps the money inside the city, inside your community. It's not going to pay franchise fees. It's not going to pay a CEO that's trying to buy their next yacht. It's going to make sure that that family that is running that business keeps the doors open, keeps the lights on, and that they can realize their dreams as well. And those people that are working there, also, you're giving them a leg up in order to maybe chase their dreams, either that be to buy the first car, to get the first home. Maybe they're putting money away so they can ask, the special someone on Valentine's Day to marry them at the melting pot. Jeff's already got, the dream girl of his life, but there are other people out there that are still searching. I love the reinforced message that this is valuable to shop local. Shopping local is vitally important to everyone, I believe, in Colorado, and it's something that's really close to the heart of both Jeff and I. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Yes, and I know I've talked about shopping and dining with Open Rewards, and there are lots of businesses where you can sort of change how you shop by supporting local. We have a pet food store in downtown Littleton, Zoe's. We have a very unique chicken feed store, Lewis and Cluck. And so I know I talked about shopping the boutiques and restaurants, but I also want to highlight some great stores that we have in Littleton that I know for me, since learning about these stores, I've stopped supporting the chains and have bought my pet food at Zoe's, or I'm going to Lewis and Cluck for my chicken feed. And so I wanted to highlight that those exist in Littleton as well, and highly encourage folks to check them out as well.
We're talking with Alexandra Vanderpool. She's the Senior Manager of Events and Marketing for the City of Littleton. A text message here from one of our listeners. I drive clear from Wiggins, Colorado to get to the Ranke Brothers in Littleton. Awesome place.
Oh, that's sweet.
My daughters love it. We're going to continue our conversation. I'm going to ask her about one of the more famous residents, somebody that came from the city of Littleton, made a big impact in world affairs. That's Danny Dietz, the hero U.S. Navy SEAL that was featured in that film, Lone Survivor. We'll be talking about the memorial to Danny Dietz that's in Littleton as well. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Joining us is Alexandra Vander. She's the Senior Manager of Events and Marketing for the city of Littleton. So I've grown up near Littleton. I love it. I love the quirky aspects of it. It's got some really cool history, too. Danny Dietz has a memorial there. He grew up in Littleton, graduated from Heritage High School, was a U.S. Navy SEAL, and he was depicted in the movie Lone Survivor. He was part of that team in Afghanistan in 2005, fought valiantly against numerically superior enemy force, defending his team in a harrowing gunfight until he was mortally wounded. You can see that in Littleton. And then it has another famous man of history, Alfred Packer, interned in Littleton as well. They've had to cement over, but Alfred Packer was the cannibal that
Yes.
that adds that famous history of consuming the people that he was hiking with up in the mountains. So
Yeah.
so
Alfred Packer
I'm going to
days.
ask Alexandra any other, and then you have the melting pot, which is supposed to be haunted as well. Anything else that's kind of quirky and funny about Littleton that people should check out?
Quirky and funny. I think I mentioned a couple already earlier, and I don't think I highlighted. I know I said that they're very cool, but they are very quirky and interesting. You mentioned that caller or texter, drives from so super far out east to come to Ranky Brothers. That is one that comes to top of mind in terms of quirky. We're home to a really just cool demographic of a variety of stores. Another one is the Colorado Pinball Pub. If you guys have heard of that.
Pinball Pub?
Yes. Yeah.
Pinball Pub.
Yeah. I have a friend that is really, really big into pinball, as far as he has 7 machines in his basement and does repairs. And that's one of the places that he goes and plays quite often.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm familiar with the place.
Yeah, I would have never thought that this place existed, and it really is a cool date night. And the place is lined with the variety of pinballs. They have pinball tournaments, and it's a really cool atmosphere with the lights and the sounds. And in addition to that, they have a really nice whiskey bar, tons of different ones that you can choose from. Food, and I don't know. I just found it very interesting to go there for a date night, and who would have thought?
That's a place where Justin Folk and I have gone before to hang out, drink some whiskey, and talk about the great films he's producing. Well, Alexandria Vanderpool, Senior Manager of Events and Marketing for the City of Littleton, joining us. Go check out visitlittleton.org. Visit littleton.org. You can sign up for the Open Rewards program. Check out all the great food and drinks and activities. I mean, year-round, Littleton is a fantastic place to visit and support local businesses. Thank you so very much for taking time. And before you leave, real quick, we just got a text message here into the studio. I was one of Danny Dietz's football coaches in elementary and middle school, the Littleton Leopards. I still live in Littleton and think about Danny all the time. Stephen, thanks so much for texting that in with us. But Alexandra, thanks for taking time to join us and just share all the great things happening in the city of Littleton.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Check out visitlittleton.org. That's visitlittleton.org. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
and I debated it all. Should $570 million frozen by Trump be released for programs like solar panels for the poor? If you missed any part of the show, including Steffan Tubbs joining us early on, go to 710knus.com to download the podcast. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader. This is News Talk 710 KNUS.